So those of you, we have a few juniors in the room, maybe a few sophomores or freshmen in the room. You must wait until the semester you are graduating to submit your DICUS application. You cannot do it ahead of time. So for those of you, for example, that are graduating this coming May, and if you want to do an internship shortly after graduation, you will apply for what we call the spring match or the February match. Is that part okay? Now there are also some programs like ours, there are two matches. We have a fall and a spring. So here at UNLV, you can choose to start your internship in July, or you can choose to start your internship in January. So if we do have anybody who's on a December graduation path, we have a July start, or January start date. So we have two start dates, but not all programs do. So it's very important for you to check the program. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Before we get into, I'm trying to think, no, we'll do that later. Okay. So when you're applying for dietetic internships, we have what we call a DICUS system, which is the Dietary Internship Centralized Application System. So it's a fancy acronym for, it's one big computer site where you're going to submit your application. You then tell DICUS, I want my internship application to go, and you can list all the programs where you want it to go. So that's kind of a neat feature. Back in the day, it was paper, and if you applied to 10 internships, you had to send 10 paper packets, and the FedEx charges that go along with the 10 paper packets. You had to obtain 10 letters of recommendation. We had to type up, on paper, a zillion letters. It was awful. So DICUS is nice now because it's only one application that you need to fill out, and then you just tell them where to go. So that's DICUS. The downside, and the only real downside I see, is yes, there's a fee. So DICUS will charge you a fee. But the nice thing about that fee, so it may sound horrible, my gosh, there's a fee, but remember, there's no print charges, there's no FedEx charges. You only have to get your transcripts once. We're going to talk about transcripts. In the old paper days, you had to have transcripts sent to every single university you wanted to apply. So it was a lot more expensive in the old days than it is now. So that's what DICUS is. So with DICUS, most internship programs will choose to use DICUS. So anywhere on the website, if you remember your internship investigation assignment way back in the day, so those are really that are interesting to you. If they say you must apply through DICUS, that's what they're mentioning. Programs can choose to have their own system if they want it. So if there is a program that you're very interested in and they say we have our own application, we do not use DICUS, pay attention to that because then you'll have to follow their instructions completely differently. So, but most places are using DICUS.
And also, real quick, if you're trying to apply to ours for some reason, DICUS and some of the systems like to say that we are in Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh my God, that was a nightmare.
We are not, but that's the option that you still do.
Yeah, if something looks weird, contact the program. Because I wouldn't have really known that if a student, for some reason, they had a DICUS that they passed around. You have, they listed for your rotation, they actually had, you can either go to Reno or Boston, Mass for our program.
University of Nevada, Los
For
Angeles.
UNLV. So when the student had such a confusion about how we were affiliated with Boston, Mass, I'm like,
I don't know either.
don't know. So it was a DICUS mistake. So I'm really grateful that one of the applicants contacted us with that question. So we went on and said, what is this? And then DICUS was able, they fixed it within 24 hours. So if you see something really funny, like, oh, I wanted to go to Nebraska, and they say, like, oh, but there's a site in Miami, confirm. Before you apply, that is there a site in Miami if you're applying to Nebraska, because DICUS makes mistakes, as we've learned the hard way. So with DICUS, it is a computerized system, but it's like using Microsoft Word. So I had to do my application the day of a typewriter. We didn't have Microsoft Word, we had typewriters. And then you'd make a mistake, and then you'd have to start the page over, because you don't want the little whiteout stuff to show. I thought I was fancy having a typewriter that you can backspace and it would autocorrect. I thought that was just, man. But you could still see it. So I thought I was just really snazzy. But you could still see how you made a mistake and you went backwards and X'd it out. So then I would rip out the piece of paper, put a new piece of paper, and start over, because I didn't want people to see my typos. So the nice thing about it, it's all computerized. So it's in Microsoft Word, you can fix your typos, fix your spelling, and all of that great stuff.
And you can log in and out, so like, you
Yeah.
can work on it over days at a time.
Which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no having to put the paper back in and lining it up properly to continue. So it opens 2 to 3 months before the program deadline. So it'll open in December for the spring match, early December. I don't have an exact date. So usually December 5th, 6th, 7th, something like that, 8, 9. So, and then applications for spring will be due in February. So those of you here at UNLV, we have a winter break. So you would have winter break to work on your application, which is really nice. And like Sam said, you set up your account, it's free to set up your account, and then you can just log in and out as often as you want. So you can work on it an hour a day if that suits your needs.
And
So
just
it's
make
really
sure
nice.
too, because this happens every round, so like, we'll talk about like the verification things later on. But usually how I catch it is because someone's sending me a request from an application, an old application system. So you need to make sure it's for the application cycle that you're actually applying for. So like this last round, they were applying for the spring match.
Yeah,
Someone originally had sent me a fall match from the previous round. It's not gonna count because we won't see it, and nothing that I would have done would have counted towards that student. So to make sure you're in the current application cycle.
Yeah, so don't do it early. So if you opened an account over the summer just to start playing around, that was for the fall match. So don't use that, use one for the spring. Does that make sense? So that's why you can't go in too early because you can't use the applications. Does that make sense? And then you change it. Dicus does change everything, and they don't save things. So anyway, unless they tell you they're going to save it. The old days they used to save them and let you roll over. I don't know if they do that because they keep changing it all the time. They update every round. So I would just wait. So December, and then if you do have anyone that, or you're on site for a December graduation, if anyone's on that pathway, they will open Dicus in July for the September or the fall matching. So they always open it a few months ahead, so that makes it really nice. So there's plenty of time for you. Check with each program that you're applying. So once you go on eWrite.org and get a list of all the programs that you're interested in, go to that website and check each program's individual website by themselves. Because we have two different things we're dealing with. We have what's called a Dicus deadline. A Dicus deadline, I hate the word because it's a fancy name for when Dicus closes for the term. It just closes. That is different from the program's application deadline. And I wish Dicus would say it differently, but they don't. So a Dicus deadline literally truly is the last day that you can log into Dicus and do anything with it. Does that make sense? Program deadlines are different. Our deadline for the program usually falls maybe a week or so before the Dicus deadline. We have to go by interviews and then backpedal with all of the people that are looking at applications and giving them time to look through them. So we kind of backpedal our deadline based on when it's going to work for us to get through them all. It takes us days to get through them all. So we have to kind of backpedal that way. So here at UNLV, our application deadline is different from what's called a Dicus deadline. Other programs are the same. And that's important because how many times do we get up, I close it, we go in, when our deadline is, we go into Dicus, we close it, and then the students will go in and say, but it was open yesterday. No, our program deadline is different from the Dicus deadline. So make sure you check that on each individual web page. And I hate to say it, but it's kind of distasteful when you contact a program and say, I missed the deadline. It doesn't make you look good that you missed a deadline. So it's one of those things that it makes you not look so responsible. So please don't do that. So make sure you check that. So far so good? Okay. Dicus application. I think Sam was going to pull a sample up too. Yeah, she's going to pull up a sample. I'm going to talk while she's pulling up a sample, so you have this in front of you. But as you're working in your Dicus application, number one, make sure all of your information is correct. Your email especially, because that is how most programs are going to correspond with you. So if your email that you typed in your Dicus application is...
Even say anything about it.
What?
When I log in for this.
Oh, it's fabulous.
I was younger when I did this.
That's okay. That's okay. We're going to talk about email. We're going to talk about this. She did not use that email on her internship application. I'm going to make it very clear. Make sure your email in particular is correct, but your phone numbers, make sure the information is correct. I can't tell you how many students that we actually would send them an invitation for interview via email. They didn't get it. They contact us. Are you guys doing interviews? Well, yes, we are doing interviews. We contacted you and your email bounced back. Oops, I typed the wrong one. Sorry, you missed it. Nothing we can do about that. So please make sure that your address is correct and then your phone number is correct. Or don't put an email, I never checked that email. Well, check your email. Number 2, with email, you should have a professional email address. Is that part okay? Terrific isn't so bad. My favorite, most memorable, it's okay. Because she didn't put that on her internship application. She used her UNLV email. And I highly recommend that you do that.
You know that you can forward from that, if you don't check it, you
Yeah,
can have it
forward.
forwarded to a regularly used email.
Right. So that's okay. But don't, my most memorable email was Hot Biker Chick. It was one of my most memorable ones. And I had another one that was really, made my eyes spin. I was like, really? It was pretty racy. So I would not use that on an internship application. Again, that's your permanent email, forward it to your university email, but I wouldn't choose an email that's unprofessional. So, just a little hint. Anyway, so make sure you do that. Okay, so there's that part. And again, she's going to go over, I'm going to let Sam do the other details. I'm going to do the theoretical stuff, and then I'm going to let her kind of go over that with you, and then the verification stuff. So, background check. On your DICAS application, you have to list any criminal backgrounds, any infractions, any academic sanctions. Remember I mentioned to you in 426 class or whatever class this semester, don't cheat, because if you get an academic sanction on your record, you have to note that in your DICAS transcript. So don't do it. Unfortunately, in the society that we live in order to place you in a dietetic internship, you're in a hospital. And you must pass a criminal background check that's pretty stringent. So you've got to pass that criminal background check. If you lie on your DICAS application and then you go to apply for the internship and they don't pass you because of a criminal background history, you're out. And then it's one of those things that, you know, you're spending money on this, you're spending tuition at the university, and then you have to go appealing if they're going to give you your money back. That's above our heads. You know, money, we don't touch money. So we just recommend that you don't do that. So we don't want you to lie. Now, good to the bad. We've had a few students who I had a misdemeanor DUI 10 years ago in a former life. That's not going to be a problem. But there are infractions that are either felony. So if it's felony, the hospitals will say no. Things like that. I can still remember one application we had who had a felony battery and burglary that was very recent. Cannot admit that person into an internship because they will not be able to clear a hospital. With that, know also that, and again, it's not our choice. We have people that beg, but please, I'm like, we can't make the hospital allow you in if you have a felony battery and burglary on your record. We cannot force the hospitals to take you. I mean, it's their hospital, it's their liability. Second thing is you gotta pass the drug test. So you have an 8-panel drug screen, you gotta pass. And we've been going through, marijuana is legal now. So it is legal in the state of Nevada. It is not legal if you're in a hospital. So it doesn't matter that it's legal to use it in Nevada. If it's in your system, you will not be cleared to work in an internship. So I don't know all the details about how long it takes to clear your system. I don't know. But just because it's legal does not mean, again, at the level of a hospital worker, that they have to accept you into their hospital. And if you have it in your system, you will not be accepted.
And just because you pass it
and
beforehand, doesn't mean that the hospitals can't randomly drug test you throughout the 7 months, or however long the internship is that you have to apply for. So, abstain.
Abstain. So that's our newest battle ever since it became legalized, because then I'm like, well, but it's legal. Oh, that's nice, but the hospital can also say, bye-bye, we don't want you here. So, it's just a new battle that we've been dealing with since they've legalized it.
And then, I'm just going to throw in,
Please.
Vaccinations are out of our control.
Yeah.
So if you are someone who chooses not to get yourself vaccinated for whatever reason, I don't care what the reason is, we don't have it. We are not the ones that tell you that you must get vaccinated. It's the hospital. It's Nevada state law that in order to practice here and work under dietitians, you must be vaccinated. It's just starting to come up a little bit more often with some of the vaccine debates and things like that. So just know from our end, we do not control it. We just have to hear.
You just you can transfer over your vaccination list from the hospital you did get it at to.
Yeah, so anywhere where your vaccine records are on file, like, there's some that you don't have to get, like, after you're, like, 6 months old.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as long as you have them recorded somewhere, we just need proof of that.
Yeah, and if you lost them, like for example with chikungunya, if you had a vaccination when you were an infant, you don't have those records, you can draw a titer, which shows that you're immune to it. So if you don't have the original vaccination, you just get the titers and so forth. It's all done electronically now, which is really nice. We have our Century MD pre-check. So you would take proof of all your vaccinations and you upload them to the system, they verify, and then they send them off to the hospital. So that's how it works. But again, we just don't have the ability, we can't tell the hospital, we have an unvaxxed hospital to let you in. And unfortunately with Vegas, it's kind of cool that we live in a culturally diverse city. Bad news is there's a lot of stuff out there, so a lot of germs out there. So they do require that everybody that works in the hospital is vaccinated. That includes a flu shot.
Oh, that's my question.
Flu shot.
Doesn't include the flu shot.
Yes, gotta have the flu shot. So however you feel about it, you have to have a flu shot. So again, I know it's hard because we're not trying to infringe on anybody's personal beliefs. It's just that if you're going to work in healthcare in a hospital-like setting, we have to follow their policies. Once you are out on your own, if you decide to hold a private practice and don't want a flu shot, that's up to you. It's just during the hospital period, we don't, our hands are tied. So I'm going to let Sam do the DICUS application and then the verification stuff, if you don't mind. That'd be great.
So my application looks incomplete because of all the updates that they've made to it since I applied. I applied back in 2013, and I finished in 2014, so that's why it looks like the DPD course list isn't there, the references, but it's all there. And so when you go into your application, it's nice that you can click in and out of information as you see fit. So you go in here and you put in the information. You know, I attended UNLV, blah, blah, blah. What's also nice about the application now is this was not available. So this is just kind of an easy way for you to check the status of your application. Once you do submit it, you can just scan it and kind of have updates on your phone. The annoying thing about this application is that it requires you to upload a resume and awards and all that. So everything you have in your resume, you're also going to have to input individually into other sections of the application. So all of the courses that you took and the grade that you got in those courses. Don't lie, because you're going to upload a transcript also, so we can verify that. Okay, you'll have a DPD GPA, a science GPA, and an overall GPA, and we look at all three of them. Okay, so what is the minimum GPA? Is 2.75 competitive? No. Not necessarily. Could be, okay? It depends on the pool of applicants that you are also applying against. Okay? Shoot higher than that, shoot the stars, you know. Higher than 2.75. Personal statement, that is something that we cannot help you with because it's a conflict of interest. So we suggest you go to the writing center for your personal statement. Once you get into it, I'm not going to pull up mine because I don't even remember what I wrote. I'm sure I had like some bright-eyed idea of what I wanted to put in. There's a character count. So my suggestion always is just kind of word vomit onto the page everything that you want to write down and then go back and edit and figure out, prioritize what's the most pertinent and relevant to this application. Okay, and that's where the writing center can come in and help you. I do also suggest when you do something like that, write it in a Word document first because it'll capture misspellings. This application will not. It doesn't have that autocorrect feature. Your references are also part of your letters of reference as well. I'm going to save that.
Do they have for your essay personal, do they have like guidelines, what they're looking for under that?
Yes, you just recently did it.
Yeah, so
Yes.
it'll say what exactly you want to have be reflected onto you, and what was really told to me from a past from someone when I was applying from a past intern is, you know, that's what is 1,000 words?
1,000 word.
That is your platform. Yeah, that is your platform for you to say in 1,000 words. This is why you're better than literally everyone else who's applying. So that is like your chance to really kind of give that like personal inflection.
I know a lot of the seniors you haven't had me yet, but usually my mantra is always make it concise. Everything you do. It's a presentation of paper, get the information out there, but don't be redundant. And that's what this personal statement is also going to teach you. Catch our attention right off the bat. Be personal, but not too, or personable, excuse me, but not too personal. Okay? We've had applicants give us bizarre schedules or practices that they used to exhibit before and we don't need any of that. Okay? For your DPD contact information, so for all of you in this room, that's going to be me. So you'll have to send a separate request for your DPD verification statement. Okay, so for those of you who would be applying while you are still in school, you are going to, make sure you write this down, this is always confusing people. If you are currently in school and you request a DPD verification from me, you are requesting a letter of intent, a declaration of intent. Okay? If you have already graduated from the program, you are requesting a verification statement from me. Okay? A verification statement can only be awarded to you after you've graduated and after I've confirmed that you've met all program requirements, which includes a minimum GPA of 2.75 overall, grades of C or better in all upper division nutrition, kinesiology, and FAB courses. B's are better in the pre-nutrition courses, and C's are better in the biologies, chemistries, and the math. Okay? Is that clear? Advising.
Correct. Well, we won't, because it's a conflict. But the writing center, go over to the UNLV writing center. It's
So
just
you're
not
acting like
fair.
Dr. Basu, like even she shouldn't be helping you.
She should. It's just not fair for us to help you with that, because it's just, all right.
And you guys, we've had students in the past where you read each other's. That helps, you know, peer-to-peer review is kind of helpful too. So any questions about the verification statement or declaration of intent?
When do we do that?
That's.
It's all part of Dietetic.
Oh, it's part of the application, yeah, so not until the application opens can you do that. So that will be a request sent through Dicus. I'll get an email from Dicus on your behalf for me to fill out that information, okay? I will also be the one to contact for the DPD course list like you see here. And all it is a PDF of all the courses that are required, that you're required to take throughout your time in the program, and that's just to justify and make sure that you did complete every course that was necessary before you graduate, okay? Usually senior year, I'll post it in like 427 or 431 so you guys will have it. But if it's any time after that, like if you decide to wait a year or two to apply, you're going to have to ask me for it. Okay? Let's see.
Can I say, and give her 10 days notice when you're asking for verification. Please don't say, my deadline's tomorrow morning at 8, and send it to her at 11 p.m. Don't do that. So that's kind of the rule,
Yes.
right? You used to want 10 days. I put 10 days on there, I
Yep.
think. I should have talked to you. Yeah, let me add with the personal statement. One of the things I would recommend, yes, it's your way to either to shine. I mean, Chase is being on the competitive side of, I'm better than everybody else. I'm just kidding. I know he's not like that at all. But, or it's your way again of shining, because remember, you're in a sea of applicants. So what makes you stand out? Why are you best for our particular program? That's another thing too, to try to make it specific to the program. Or a way to explain a boo-boo. So I was talking with, Bea and Celia earlier, we were just chatting for fun, and commented, what if you took a class 10 years ago and you didn't get the highest grade in the world in that class? Explain it. Like, look, 10 years ago I was a business major and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. So, and then explain that away a little bit, and then ever since I decided in my major, from here on in, I was really serious, and as you can see by my academic record, blah, blah, blah. So that's also a chance to explain if there was, whether it be maybe a break in your resume, or like a resume gap, or whether maybe there was one class you didn't do so well in, or maybe if there was one semester that was not consistent, maybe you had a whole semester that you just didn't do well in compared to your other semesters. So you can also mention some of that in a personal statement too. Because remember, we don't know. We might look at it and go, oh, but if you explain, like, oh, that's a really good explanation. Maybe you had a family emergency or an illness in your family or something that really distracted you. You don't have to give us the detail, but it's just an explanation.
And then my advice is too, is if you're applying here, almost write your letter as if we don't know you. You have to be able to portray information about yourself as if, because maybe you're applying to 3 or 4 other internships, so you have to let those people who don't know you get a sense of who you are from that personal statement.
Makes sense. Now, this is also the place to, use correct grammar and spelling. I know I hate to say it, so that's really important. That's where you're using the Writing Center. If you struggle, please go use the Writing Center.
And don't make it one. We've had applicants where they put no paragraphs.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
one
Yeah.
list of words.
Yeah. No,
I can't see that well to begin with, so reading that on the computer.
Yeah.
Easy.
So we look at things like that, like, is this a new paragraph? Should it be? In writing level, we expect you to be writing at the collegiate level. We've had personal statements that were really written at a lower education level. I like nutrition. I like to study food. Food is good. I mean, very just not at the collegiate level. So even if it may not be wrong, it's just not the writing that we would expect at a collegiate level. So that'd be another one. You don't have to use big words that you don't know what they mean, but at least.
Yeah, use those words correctly too. If you're gonna use more sophisticated jargon, make sure.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so that's your dicus. So again, hers looks a little different, but you get the point that it's like a master checklist and it
And
keeps-
they'll send
keeps
you
organized.
messages too here, like, so like if you've requested your transcript, they'll let you know your transcript has landed in your application, for example. Or 2 of your 3 letters have responded for your letters of recommendation,
I'm gonna have transcripts on that.
and we'll get to letters.
Okay. All right, so now we're just gonna kind of pick apart each part. So, first part, let's look at GPA for a few minutes here. So as Sam just mentioned, you have a science GPA, you have a DP&D GPA, you have your total GPA. And that course list that she was mentioning will dictate which courses you include in your DPD. So you have 3 GPAs, and you already said 275 is the minimum. But it doesn't necessarily make you competitive, but at the same time, you do not need a 4.0 to be a good intern, and we recognize that. Or maybe your science GPA is a 275 or a 2.8, but your DP&D GPA is a 3.98. That's okay. So don't feel like you don't want to apply either. We just can't accept people with GPAs of 1.5, 1.9, that's just too low for us. So GPA is certainly important. We're not going to dismiss the importance of it, but I can tell you, in the past, I've learned really early on with this internship, we've had a couple 4.0 students from other universities that were horrible interns. They couldn't function. We know a couple people like that in real life too. So 4.0 students who cannot function dealing with a human being. There's no common sense up there. So a 4.0 is not everything. On the other hand, I can tell you, I have a student who really, she was many years ago, she wasn't going to apply. She was like a 3.2 student and just wasn't confident in herself. Ended up that, we were able to get her into the internship, and that she's now this like highly successful NICU dietitian in the Midwest. So it's not everything. Does that make sense? So we're not looking for necessarily a 4.0. If you have one, okay, don't mess it up. But if you don't have a 4.0, it's not everything. It's one piece of the puzzle. So that's what we have to say about
We get it. We're dietitians, we're very type A. We
So-
want to be perfect all the time.
Oh,
Do not be perfect.
but do the best you can. Now with that, as you mentioned, like, you're going to have to hand type in your classes. So you're going to be typing them in. I took whatever class, and then you type in the grade. So here's where if you transferred courses into UNLV and a grade did not transfer, you don't get a freebie. You have to type in whatever grade you received. So for those of you who may have taken a course at CSN, whatever grade you transferred in. So if you took A and P and got a C, the C is what you put on your DICOS application. Is that part okay? You don't get to say, ooh, I transferred that in, so it doesn't count. It counts. So all grades count. So now at UNLV, you may know the rule that if you retake a class once, it's a freebie. So they will replace the grade. If you take a class 5 times, it averages the 5 grades. Anything more than 2. So it amazes me how many students we've seen in the past take classes 5 times, and they get a FFFFC. Well, then they average the FFFFC. That's the grade on your transcript. That's what goes into your total GPA.
The worst I ever saw, and it wasn't even someone applying, it was just an inquiring student, and I just think it's
Right.
a high statistic, and that makes me laugh. Okay? This one student, she retook a class 9 times. She got 7 Fs, 2 Ds, and withdrew twice. Okay? Then she took the second part of that course 7 times. Her GPA was pretty low, as you can imagine. It also took her 12 years to graduate. How expensive was that degree?
Yeah, I know that.
Real
She took 2 classes like 17 times. So, none of you are in that situation. However, any of my younger students, my juniors or my pre-majors, keep that in mind when you're taking these classes. Hello? Keep that in mind when you're taking these classes, and if you have to retake a class, it's not the end of the world. But you have to determine if that 3rd time is worth redoing. okay? And again, for that same reason, obviously if you haven't met the C, the minimum grades, you're gonna have to keep retaking it until we can average you out. However, just make sure you don't fall into that trap of taking it too many times, or I'll retake it after I graduate. Don't do that either. Everything that you take has to be taken before you walk across stage so that it will count as part of your overall GPA. Does that make sense? Yes.
In regards to the general course list, if you were a previous major, does it want you to input every course you've taken or just the courses that are specific to this field of study?
Just this.
Just for this degree. So if you took basket weaving, got a degree. And then it'd be fun.
If you were at multiple schools too, like when we talk about transcripts, you'll have to make sure that all of those are reflected in your application.
Yep, so you're just gonna list all the stuff that got you here. You're basically your TQB stuff.
Now, if you do retake a class, a lot of students get really hesitant to retake a class because they feel like it doesn't look good for them to redo it. That's not necessarily a bad thing. You can use that to your advantage in your personal statement or in an interview. You know, why did you retake anatomy and physiology? It will show your strength as a student and your motivation to do better than you did before. Okay? So don't feel like it's a negative. It's not a setback or anything like that. You can use it to your advantage. Even if you took it 3 or 4 times, you know, just I'm persistent and I wanted to make sure, you know, something.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you did take a class like 3 or 4 times, would you list the same class with the grade all?
With DICUS, no, that's all right. Here's the beauty of DICUS.
Okay.
Whew, the highest grade is the one you get to enter.
Yeah, so as far as your D plus, your
So
D
DICUS
your
is good.
science GPA, it'll calculate differently than what your transcript and your overall can say.
Yeah, because the overall GPA you can't change.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So you get like a little gasp.
When you do fill out the coursework for DICUS, will it specifically already kind of calculate, okay, this is your science, this is your total?
Oh, it doesn't.
Okay, so you were able to see
Yeah,
that?
if you enter like a 4 or 3, like it'll.
Yeah, so you don't need to be really good at math.
So we don't have to break it up ourselves as well into, oh.
You just need your university system, and they tell you that, like a 4.0 is an A, and you know.
And then on the, that's why the DPD course list is so helpful because it lists out the DPD versus the science stuff.
Yep.
Well, it's listed separate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we list it for you. All you have to do is look at your transcript book. No, seriously, it's labor intensive, but it's, you know, not a guessing game.
As far as overall GPA goes, if you have transcripts from multiple schools, does it combine all of those GPAs to get your total, or how does it?
No, just for this degree.
Just,
So if you have 5 other degrees, it doesn't care.
If you have a transcript from one school that you didn't take any of the nutrition courses from, should you still submit that?
You don't need it.
Okay.
Transferred into the university.
Okay.
Because it won't show up on your transcripts.
yeah, it just.
Maybe it will. Will it show up on transcripts?
Yeah, I didn't say.
Will it show up on a transcript? Does anything show up on? Something has to show up because when you run you through the graduation system, something will be noted that it counted it.
It says waived and it has like a little asterisk, but.
Because that's going to be on your transcript, yeah. So you can just make a little note in your personal. Don't spend a lot of time on
There
it.
is, I'm looking at it right now. So at the very bottom, it's called special classification and it says advanced placement.
There you go.
So just put in all the information, so have all these. So here's how like you would enter a course. The course name, prefix number, the type of course that it was, etc., credit hours, the grade that you received, and then down at the bottom, you have all of these choices.
Oh, cool.
Beautiful.
Fraud, incomplete, honors, and advanced placement.
There you go.
Nice, okay, cool.
So for grade, you might, I don't know what it says on your transcript, if it's a letter or a number, you just have to choose one of these and then address it somehow.
If there's no number or letter, then just don't count it towards your GPA.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. You learned something new today. Excellent. Okay, so that's GPA. Next category, work and volunteer experience. So this is one that I know a lot of you get really stressed out about. The question that we get is how many hours do I need? Well, I don't know, because you're compared to the people in the pool. So I don't know how many hours you need, because it's going to be you and all of the other applications that we get. Usually it's a good idea to have a nice little balance, a balance between the 3 pillars of dietetics: community, clinical, food service, broad types of experiences. So that's kind of a general rule of thumb. But then there's also other things other experiences not related to dietetics that are very valuable. So we don't want you to get so hung up on nutrition and dietetics experience that you lose sight of all the other skills that you have. So yes, we want you to have some, and you have SNDA, you have so many opportunities. It's a great idea, again, balance it out. You've worked with some kids, you've worked with some older folks, you've done some maybe clinical's a little harder because you can't actually get in a hospital, but you know, if you have worked in the hospital, great. Maybe you do some food service stuff, whatever it is. So balancing the best you can. But then think about other skills too. And the story that one of the stories is one of our very first interns. She was a non-traditional student who worked at Chili's and was not going to apply for a dietetic internship because she had to work her way through school, et cetera, and she's like, I'm not applying for an internship because I don't have the same number of hours that my classmates have with volunteer experience. But when I sat down with her and said, well, what do you do at Chili's? She said, I'm just a server. I said, okay, what do you do while you're a server? And then it turned out to, from server to, well, oftentimes I am the night manager or the guest manager, whatever they called it, financial skills, budgeting skills. And I had somebody that worked years ago that worked at an insurance company, and she was doing budgeting for the entire, I mean, that was a huge skill, being able to budget. So things like that. So don't be alarmed if you have experiences outside of nutrition and dietetics, just spin what your skills are.
How far back can you go as far as?
5 years, that's all they want. They won't accept anything beyond 5 years. So, thank you, it's a really good question.
No, we always tell people too, we would never tell you to quit a job to volunteer more or something like that. You need a way to live, right? Your livelihood is more important. So if it's not a dietetics job or anything like that, but you can still find time here and there to volunteer, but you're working part-time to full-time, like, that can still work to your advantage as well.
Absolutely.
Is that 5 years from when the application opens?
Yeah.
How about for the resume, 5 years too?
No, resume, there's no limit. So that's a good place to highlight. The resume would be a place to highlight your previous life. But personal statement too. So if you did have, if this is a second career for you, or if you've started school later in life, personal statement is another place to highlight the skills you brought from a previous life. I was thinking of Lisa Victorine. She was a flight attendant for like 29 years or 20-some years. She was a flight attendant. And she wasn't able to really put that on her DICUS application because it wasn't within the last 5 years. But in her personal statement, she was able to weave in all of the skills that she was able to pull in. And how she worked her way up to business and supervisory experience. So she was able to pull that in. So a personal statement is a great place to pull in all the skills you have. We've had students, I had one not too long ago that did a lot of nonprofit work. So again, changing careers, but there's a lot of skills that you can pull in. And even though it was beyond 5 years, personal statement, you can pull all that in.
The same thing with the resume is personal statement, the Writing Center, Career Services can help you guys with that. We can assist you with your resume format.
Right.
Do you prefer resumes to be to a page or
1 to 2.
Yeah, definitely no more than 2. But like I said, they're gonna make you fill in everything again, right? So we'll see it one way or another in the application.
Yeah.
The other thing to kind of keep off of your resume, you gotta feel like your high school GPA means nothing to us. Like your daughters, like that's great, like we're very happy with it, but you don't keep your high school GPA.
But again, resume is a good place for, again, those of you who have significant employment experience beyond the 5 years. In 431 class in the spring, you will have to do a resume for that class, so it's something that we make you do. So.
You guys should have one started anyway from 271.
Yeah.
So just keep working off of that, or you can change it formally whenever you want it.
Career services, they will help you. So we got, okay with that?
I know with the resume, when it is a part where it says, okay, like your past education from obviously colleges,
Sure.
high school, do you no longer put that? Does it not really matter?
You're talking about on the application?
Yeah, on the resume.
On the resume, well, for most of you, what it's been probably about 4 years at least.
I think it depends. If you're younger, fresh in college, I don't know how to say it, it might be more relevant, but if it's a second career, there's no way on earth I would put my high school on my CV because no one cares. I think it depends how recent you are. If you're really recent and you need it, that's fine, but
Yeah,
we don't
because usually
care.
it's that 5-year mark where we look at it off.
Yeah.
If you put a word in, we're not going to get her out of the application portion.
Exactly. Right.
And you're like, really organized.
Yeah, we told you, we don't talk about
Now we're
that.
going to. This is serious right now.
No, I mean, it's one of those things that if you're newer in your career in the last 5 years, you're not gonna have enough. Right, but I wouldn't put high school at the expense of other things. The further you get along in your career, that 2 pages is not enough. So, academia, we don't use resumes.
Then you use CVs.
We use CVs, we don't use resumes in academia, because they're, whatever, I don't know, 40 pages long or something.
Now, with your resumes on Dietetic, for whatever reason, sometimes it really screws up the formatting. So like you might have it formatted beautifully on your
Oh,
computer
yeah.
as a PDF or Word doc, and then you'll see it in Dietetic and you'll want to pull your hair out because it's
But
just
check it.
So again, that's why it's
Check.
annoying, but at least that's why you have all of this that you have to still type in. So if the resume is just not readable, then we have somewhere else to look at.
But check it. You can look at your documents now. That's a newer feature, I guess, the last year or two, that when you upload a PDF of your resume, you can actually view your own files, which is nice. The same with your DICUS application. You can actually do like a view it as a PDF before you submit it. So you can make sure nothing looks funny. So that's really nice.
Do you edit, like take out the old file and put in a new one if you think
As long as you haven't submitted it yet. Yeah.
Sure can.
So let's say you submitted something and it wasn't the right one, is there a way to submit it again?
After you hit that submit button,
No.
check, double check, triple check, whatever you're gonna do. Have someone else look at it for you before you submit.
Yeah.
And everyone,
There's
always
no
like,
undo
people are
button.
like, alright, I was the same, I was like, I don't know if I submit this yet. Just do it. Just be confident with what you put in there and just make sure everything's in there before you submit it.
Yeah, we don't have the ability to do an undo. I don't know if DICUS does, you can contact them, but I don't know. We do not have the ability to undo your submissions.
That's why we always emphasize following directions and make sure you turn things in early or at least before the deadline so you don't have time to fix anything, stuff like that. So it may sound like nagging from our end, but it's for this and the future and just being a professional in general.
Yep. Now the fun.
You guys haven't had it yet, so.
Next time.
Oh, you will.
Yes, we'll let you know.
Okay, now the fun part, letters of recommendation. We are going to have a lot to say about that, so thanks also. So what we are looking for, read the directions. Our program, we want 3 letters. If a program wants more, then give them what they want. 3 is common. If you submit 4, we only look at the first 3. And you don't control which order they go in. What will happen, we're going to get into the etiquette of asking for letters, but if you asked me for a letter, we will get an email that we do our letter and then we send it into DICUS. The order at which DICUS receives is the order they post. So if you think you're going to be clever and get 4 letters of recommendation to outdo your classmates, well, we're going to look at the first 3. And we'll probably be annoyed at you for submitting 4 because we didn't ask for 4. So don't do it. So don't do it. If there's some weird glitchy thing, just don't do it. So the people writing your letters, part of the process is, we're not going to tell you who to get letters from. Part of us evaluating you is who are you choosing to get your letters from. The person or persons should be able to discuss your ability to become a dietitian and then highlight your skills, your personality, examples of your abilities. So who are the people that can best discuss that? So that's kind of your choice.
So like we were saying before, if you don't have a dietetic job, if you work in a bank, and you want to use your supervisor as a letter of reference, that's fine, but just make sure that they can speak to your character as a potential dietitian. Leadership skills, ability to follow directions, punctuality, stuff like that. Okay, so that's totally
Accuracy,
appropriate if you're
attention
not
to
a dietitian.
detail, yep, that's fine. So, but, at the same time, if you can't get a letter, a single letter from a faculty member at your university, that's red flag, that there's something wrong with you. I hate to say it, but it's a red flag. You should be able to find 1 or 2 faculty members who think highly of you. Does that make sense? So we've seen it all. We've seen it where, you know, unfortunately, people don't get any letters from faculty members and it sends up a red flag. And then even putting that aside, then of course we've had all letters from faculty members that are very good. So you need to, I'm trying to say this delicately, but you need to have a little bit of confidence in who's writing those letters. And those letters, by the way, are confidential. You will not see them. so you don't have the ability to see them. So there needs to be a balance of you need to have confidence in the person that you're asking to write you a letter. I am a straightforward person. I will tell you, I will write you a strong letter. I don't know you well enough to write a good letter. I can write you a neutral letter, or I can write you a letter, but it's not going to be so flattering. I'll tell you right up. I will. She's going to do the same thing. So,
But we don't want to waste your time. We don't want to waste your time with a poor letter if you do have someone else who can write you a better letter.
exactly. That's not what we're trying to do. At the same time, again, if you apply to, one thing, if you apply to UNLV and you don't get a letter from a single faculty member at UNLV, we're going to go, huh? Because that doesn't look good. Or even another thing to keep in mind, that we know a lot of people. We go to Fancy and network with, we know lots of program directors all over the country, and I have a lot of friends in this country. So if I know of a certain university that you're applying, or we do it the other way with their students, if I have a student from a place where I know the folks there well, and how come I don't have a letter from Ingrid? I know there's a red flag that they can't get a letter from the person who they should be getting a letter from. There's my red flag. So we know people outside too.
People go off the references all the time. I've had program directors call me about students that didn't have a letter from me, so it does happen.
So, anyway, so keep that in mind. But we don't want to scare you, because so many of you, like sitting in this room, are really good students, and we're going to write really good letters for you. So keep that in mind too. But I will be truthful. She'll be very truthful. If you're not sure, kind of ask, would you be willing to write a strong letter of support for me? I mean, use that word right out. That's okay to do so.
Just to be clear, we're not going to be, like, if it's not a strong letter, we're not going to be mean. It's
No,
going to be constructive
no,
type
never
of criticism, so don't think like we're monsters.
No, I'm not mean. I'm not mean, but
We're
if I-
professional.
Right,
We
always.
just want to be upfront with everybody about like what you would expect from a letter from us.
But we have to be honest, because if we then develop a reputation, if our name gets stamped on something, there's a certain standard that's expected. And if we start putting our name on something that is then like, gosh, every time we get a letter from these people at UNLV, the students aren't very good, that hurts it for future students. So we have to be honest. It's just what we need to do. But again, we're not mean, it'll be very professional, but I have no problem telling you that I can't write you a strong letter. So this is my opinion.
So are those letters, are they like guided questions, or is it just a straight letter of recommendation?
No, that's what I'm getting to. So before we get into how to request a letter, so there's one page of the form that we get. It's all boxes, and check boxes. And we have to assess your knowledge of general nutrition, MNT, and food service, and blah 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 blah. So all this information. So there's your academic ability. You have like a 1 to 5 scale kind of thing. And then there's everything: punctuality, courtesy, gets along well with teachers, gets along well with peers, gets along well with this, creativity. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So it's a very, very long.
We are watching what you guys are doing throughout your time.
I was going to say that next, but I was saving it for last. So you go on this one. You go.
We watch when you come in late, when you leave early, when you don't show up, when you sign in and then you leave, when you are on your phone, when you are on your computer, on Facebook.
Not taking notes in class.
Yeah.
We can tell the difference between taking notes in class and being.
I also know when you guys are texting
Facebook.
because no one lets their crotch like that. I would assume. So we notice the things that you do, and when you guys have it, you will come to realize that I am huge on punctuality. Okay? So if you come to class late, every once in a while, we can get over it if it's not a habitual pattern.
Absolutely.
But if you're either never coming to class or showing up late all the time, again, leaving early is probably the one that probably irks me more than anything. And that's just me, but I'm sure other instructors feel the same way. So we keep telling you, this is an interview, for the internship. The internship is an interview for life. So like you are constantly being kind of judged, just as we all were when we went through our programs. So just keep all of that stuff in mind. Okay? Interactions with each other, we also pay attention to. If you're mean and catty to each other, we'll notice it. We don't like that. You guys are competitive, but you should just be friendly competitiveness, right? So don't undercut people. Like my juniors just did their debates and they were all freaking out, but it was very nice. They weren't like mean to each other, they were respectful. That's what you guys need to be all the time. Okay?
We can talk about that more too.
Yeah.
But with that, on the flip side of that is we have had a student where, oh, my mom is having surgery, is it okay if I have my phone on during class? Of course. Or my kid's having surgery, if I need to leave it, of course. We're not, like I said, that's fine, but it's the habitual late, habitual commit. Again, we can tell, it's so obvious when you're taking notes for class versus when you're on your computer doing everything but stuff for this class.
And you guys know the classes are getting larger each year that goes by, but we get to know each of you individually, and we know all of your patterns and habits and things like that. So, don't feel like you're gonna cheat the system because you signed in and then you left. We know all of you, okay, and we will take note of that as well. Okay? And it's just not respectful to the other classmates of yours that come to class all the time and stay, all that stuff. So we're trying to make it a fair environment for everybody. Okay? Or if you're someone who habitually turns things in late, or asks for extensions, or doesn't follow the directions, things like that, we just take it all into account. We're not going to chastise you, but we do consider it when we draft the results.
The one pet peeve that we've been dealing with lately is everyone else's class are more important than ours. Oh, this has been more recent, habitual, that everybody has an excuse why they can't submit assignments to our class or can't be bothered to come to your nutrition classes because they're too busy with another class that's more important to them.
We had a midterm in my class, and a student told me that they had 2 other midterms. I was like, and? That's not a valid excuse, and to tell me that you had 2 other midterms that were more important than mine, and you're in this program?
We get that. My other class is more important.
Or I had work and I had school. Is this not school? I worked and I went to school. You worked and you went to school. It doesn't make any sense. So don't, and we love for you guys to be honest at the same time.
Of course.
But yeah, stuff like that, you just have to think about the interactions that you're having with everybody,
Okay. And again, when it's habitual, not a once in a while.
Yeah.
It's a habitual. Did I get all my annoyances out? There'll be some others that will come out, I'm sure. All right, so anyway, so all of that will be factored into the letters. Okay, I think we got the first one. Okay, so we already mentioned personal statement, I already mentioned, again, personable, not too personal. No, you can ask.
About references. So I started my Dietetic application last year, and I did all of it. And so I got one letter that was completed, and I would like to use a different person, not that this bridge is burned, but there's been a lot of updates.
Of course.
On the website here, it says I can't delete it, but I can reopen it, so that same person could write me a new one. I was hoping that I just cancel this person and hope to get
that. You might just have to start a brand new application.
Oh.
Because I don't know how to do somebody, because I know it does work, because it happened last time that someone applied and then pulled it out, and then they applied for this next round that we just did. And so when they asked me for a letter, it saved everything that I had, and I was able to just go in and update.
Or call Dicus, just call them.
And as an applicant, I don't know if you can.
I don't know, but call Dicus, they may be able to reset it for you or something.
But it won't send them another request until you initiate it, so if you're afraid that that's going to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay. So we did personal statements, we mentioned those. Transcripts, it does take time, so Sam already mentioned that. As you get going, request your letters and your transcripts right away, because with transcripts they take time. Dicus will actually verify to make sure that your transcripts are legitimate and valid and official and all that great stuff. So get those going early because they can take some time. Do not wait until a week before your Dicus deadline to start your transcript process. So get that done right away. And then the other stuff you have plenty of time to type in all your other stuff. We already did resume. Okay, so let's do computer matching. Computer matching is fun. So this is the next fun one. Okay. So in addition to the Dicus system, and people get confused, there's too many Ds. There's D&D computer matching. So Dicus, D&D, I know it gets very confusing, but it's very important that these are 2 separate systems. Okay, they are not the same thing. What computer matching is, it's a mathematical algorithm that people only like my husband would understand that makes it so that it tries to maximize internships for students. So what it will do is that when you are applying to multiple programs, and even if you're applying to one program, you must rank the programs in the order in which you want to attend those programs. So if you apply to 5 programs, you have to list choice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the true order that you want to go there. We then interview candidates, and this is where it's very painful for us. If we interview 20 people, we have to rank you 1 through 20. We can't just say, oh, but everybody's great in the scene. We can't. We have to rank you 1 through 20. Computer then decides a match. You are assigned on match day to one internship program. So the computer maximizes your choice with the program's choice and tries to give everybody the best option. So, neat, yay. By the way, there is a D&D fee. So sorry, there is a fee, you gotta pay for everything.
And even if you only have one
Gotta do it.
internship, you still gotta pay for that.
Still have to do it. So even if you're applying to one, if they participate in computer matching, then you must pay the fee and list one program as number 1. That's okay to do that. So with this, don't outsmart the system. Rank only the programs that you really would attend, because you know Murphy's Law. If you're going to apply to 5, you don't really want to go to Nebraska, but I'll throw it in there. Which one are you going to get matched to? Nebraska! So really, only programs that you are absolutely serious that you want to go will you rank.
And make sure, as we talked about this in 271, make sure you know all the program details in case you do get matched. Like if it's $44,000 for the internship, make sure you know that. Make sure you know that you have to move to wherever the internship says. We'll get to that.
Oh, no, that's a good one. Oh, let's do.
So we had applicants. This is like a week before the internship started.
Mr. Miami. Let's call it Mr. Miami.
Yeah.
That's where he's from, Miami.
I didn't know that I had to move to Las Vegas to do the internship.
This guy, yeah. Didn't know.
We had another.
Didn't know there was a cost associated with moving. And then just realized he couldn't live with mommy and daddy anymore and had to have a place to live. This was 10 days before, and I never take vacation, and I was getting ready to go on my Alaskan cruise, and I get this, like,
What happened when you were on vacation?
I don't know, something always
Every time you
happens.
go on vacation.
So I had to like stop my life and figure out what to do and try to get another intern. But then this one has the nerve, can you keep my application on hold for next year? Oh, no.
No. And then we've had other applicants where she applied to an internship in New Jersey,
Oh, yeah.
and she didn't know it was $50,000 for the internship, on top of living expenses, and she would have had to move there, da-da-da-da. So like you'll see, and like we will talk about, getting accepted and then refusing is not a good one.
So do your homework. So just be serious about the programs. When you're doing your matching, be serious. And again, don't outsmart the system. So here's the third thing that happened. It hasn't happened recently, but it's happened to us in the past. You may know that Reno has a dietetic internship, and they do have positions here in Las Vegas. So I can't tell you, because this, oh, that's what I wanted to finish earlier. The competitiveness with each other, we're going to get into code of conduct in a little bit, and we'll do that. But we know how competitive you are with each other, sometimes unnecessarily. People try to outsmart the system and say, well, you know what I'll do, because there's so many other students in my class that are applying, and then everyone has the panic of everybody's better than me, and I don't have a chance. I'm going to put Reno as my first choice, even though they're not my first choice. And then where do they get matched? Reno. Because you put it as your first choice type thing. And then they come back to us and say, can you undo it? We can't. We can't undo it, so to speak. So be serious. If Reno is your first choice, put Reno. If Reno is your third choice, put Reno as your third choice. Just be serious. Don't outsmart the system, because there is no outsmarting the system.
And then from there, the worst scenario of all that really sucks, and like Dr. Pascal said, it hasn't happened in a while. You rank, we rank, or any program will rank. And you panic because you don't feel like the interview went well. And you had us as number 1, you're like, I'm just going to drop them down to like 2 or 3 because my other interview went better. We ranked you highly. May say you interviewed at like ASU. They didn't rank you. Guess what? No internship. So do not change your mind if you are confident that you want to come here, or if you want to go to ASU. Whoever you want to go to, you need to rank the number 1, because you're not going to get your second or third choice necessarily. That's where the whole algorithm comes into play that she was talking about, and it breaks our hearts when we see that these types of scenarios happen.
That's a lot.
Yes.
where you leave your interview, sometimes you're not, I mean, it's stressful. Interview day is so stressful. And I will guarantee you, we're going to talk about interviews in fourth year, you're going to be nervous the day of your interview. Oh, we know you're nervous, it's normal, but so many students, like I said, they think, oh my God, I didn't interview well, and then they go messing up their rankings. Meanwhile, we thought you were fantastic and you're our #1 candidate. And then you don't get an internship because you move UNLV so far down the list that you don't get an internship. So
am I understanding it right? You have, say you have 2, you rank it in 1. The one that you rank 1, they have to place you at #1
Nope.
as well?
Not at #1.
Okay.
In the
That's really
no, that's too hard, yeah.
no, that's too hard. No, but if we take 15 interns, so I mean, if we have 15 interns and, 15 of you put UNLV, if 15 of you wanted to come to UNLV, and I had 15 spots, well then our top 15 will get in, if that makes sense. But if I have 15 spots and you rank UNLV 10th, that's where it gets kind of tricky.
Gotcha.
Then it's like, well, maybe, it doesn't rank you highly. But if you put, let's just pretend you put UNLV as #1 and, again, and then we interviewed 15 of you and all 15 of you would come to UNLV. It always favors the preference of the student.
Scenario. So say like I'm ranked as number 16, but you only take 15 slots. Is that where I'm like a possible, alternative?
Because who we chose as number 10 may have chosen UNLV as their 5th choice of program.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Happens all the time. Student number 10, we might be one of 5 programs that they applied to.
So that it's still.
So that would put you up to 15.
Yeah, so there's a possibility if you are down lower for you to get bumped up
Absolutely.
higher. You would never know that though, like,
Yeah.
when it tells you that you're
Yeah,
bad,
don't
you would never
tell
know
us
that.
your rankings, by the way, don't tell us, you do not need, and don't tell any, you do not need to disclose to any program what your rankings are,
And we will not tell you.
and we don't tell you what your rankings are. So, it's confidential, so you don't need to tell the program, hey, you're my first choice.
Yeah, that's a good point. Something that's a little harsh in an interview is to come down and be like, this is my only choice and my only option, right? A little aggressive. We get it. I was the same way, like, I couldn't afford you, however, you don't really comment on that, like,
We get it for a lot of you,
you
it's
gotta
your
take
only
me, because then
choice.
what am I gonna do for that?
And it's okay, it's right. It's okay if we are your only option or your best option, but just don't,
Yeah.
this might be right.
Yes.
How many choices do you get for the ranking?
For you can apply to as many programs as you like.
You just have to pay for each program that you're applying to, you have a separate application fee for that, but yeah, that's.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. So backing up to every program has their own deadline. Every program has an individual application fee in addition to the DICUS and the D&D. So there are 3 fees you're going to pay. So DICUS.
No, that's too hard, yeah.
No, that's too hard. No, but if we take 15 interns, so I mean, if we have 15 interns and 15 of you put UNLV, if 15 of you wanted to come to UNLV, and I had 15 spots, well then our top 15 will get in, if that makes sense. But if I have 15 spots and you rank UNLV 10th, that's where it gets kind of tricky. Then it's like, well, maybe, it doesn't rank you highly. But if you put, let's just pretend you put UNLV as #1 and, again, and then we interviewed 15 of you and all 15 of you would come to UNLV. It always favors the preference of the student.
Scenario. So say like I'm ranked as number 16, but you only take 15 slots. Is that where I'm like a possible, alternative?
Because who we chose as number 10 may have chosen UNLV as their 5th choice of program.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Happens all the time. Student number 10, we might be one of 5 programs that they applied to.
So that it's still.
So that would put you up to 15.
Yeah, so there's a possibility if you are down lower for you to get bumped up higher. You would never know that though, like, when it tells you that you're bad, you
Don't
would never
tell
know
us
that.
your rankings, by the way, don't tell us, you do not need, and don't tell any, you do not need to disclose to any program what your rankings are,
And we will not tell you.
and we don't tell you what your rankings are. So, it's confidential, so you don't need to tell the program, hey, you're my first choice.
Yeah, that's a good point. Something that's a little harsh in an interview is to come down and be like, this is my only choice and my only option, right? A little aggressive. We get it. I was the same way, like, I couldn't afford you, however, you don't really comment on that, like.
We get it for a lot lot of
You
you,
gotta
it's your
take
only
me, because
choice.
then what am I gonna do?
And it's okay, yeah, it's right. It's okay if we are your only option or your best option, but just don't, yeah. This might be right.
Yes.
How many choices do you get for the ranking? Is there like a video?
For you can apply to as many programs as you like.
You just have to pay for each each program that you're applying to, you have a separate application fee for that, but yeah, that's.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. So backing up to every program has their own deadline. Every program has an individual application fee in addition to the DICUS and the D&D. So there are 3 fees you're gonna pay. So DICUS fee, spell it. I don't like hey, do not start your email to me with a hey. I'm sorry, but it irritates me.
Hey.
I get irritated.
At least say hey after cross the whole thing.
Hey.
Say good morning.
I get hey.
I'll say good morning.
See, then they're always like to me, they call me doctor, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah. I say thanks.
I say yes earlier. Yeah, earlier better, but don't do it the day before. I mean, 30 days is nice. If you have the people identified earlier is fine. I love doing things like over winter break personally. And I can warn all you, I batch do my letters, so don't harass me the day 2 after you ask me, because it won't be done on day 2. I do mine in batches.
She gets mad at me, but.
She doesn't know she gets
And
it.
then
I'm all caught up in my letters. I'm like,
I'm just saying, take it into account though, you know, if you're asking for 4 people, just know I'm probably gonna be one of the first ones. So if you don't want me up at the top, then don't ask for me.
and I've never missed a deadline. I'm not the first, but I've never.
But what most students do, as soon as they get into their application, they'll do the transcripts and the letters like first. Because then you don't have to worry about it. Then you just start to fill out everything. And just give you all that time to get back home.
Makes sense. But I really do recommend, so if you're asking for a letter again, or if you're asking another program, I'm interested in your program, proper grammar, spelling, all of that. I actually keep a notebook when I get inquiries via email about our program, and I see consistent slang, not addressed properly, grammar, spelling. I keep a notebook, so if I see their application letter, later, I'm gonna really scrutinize it.
Like, don't sign off like peace. I'm being serious. We're not making them anything the same. That's why this is now 3 hours instead of 2. Everything that we've seen over the years, we keep correcting.
So, be respectful.
With that being said, so if we do happen to ask for a letter from one of your faculty members, we keep telling you, and we keep saying it because it's true. We are watching what you guys are doing throughout your time.
I was
here.
going to say that next, but I was saving it for last. So you go. I'm sorry on this one. You go.
We watch when you come in late, when you leave early, when you don't show up, when you sign in and then you leave, when you are on your phone, when you're on your computer, on
Not
Facebook.
taking notes in class.
Yeah.
You can tell the difference between taking notes in class and being.
I also know when you guys are texting because no one looks at their crotch like that. I would assume. So we notice the things that you do, and when you guys have me, you will come to realize that I am huge on punctuality. Okay? So if you come to class late, every once in a while, you get over it if it's not a habitual pattern. Absolutely. But if you're either never coming to class or showing up late all the time, again, leaving early is probably the one that probably irks me more than anything. And that's just me, but I'm sure other instructors feel the same way. So we keep telling you, this is an interview, you know, for the internship. The internship is an interview for life. You know, so like you are constantly being kind of judged, just as we all were when we went through our programs. So just keep all of that stuff in mind. Okay, interactions with each other, we also pay attention to. You know, if you're mean and catty to each other, we'll notice it. We don't like that. You guys are competitive. It should be friendly competitiveness, right? So don't undercut people. Like my juniors just did their debates and they were all freaking out. But it was very nice. They weren't like mean to each other. They were respectful. That's what you guys need to be all the time. Okay?
Talk about that more too.
Yeah.
But with that, on the flip side of that is we have had a student where, oh, my mom is having surgery. Is it okay if I have my phone on during class? Of course. Or my kid's having surgery. If I need to leave, of course. We're not, like I said, that's fine. But it's the habitual. the habitual late, habitual, and again, we can tell, it's so obvious when you're taking notes for class versus when you're on your computer doing everything but stuff for this class.
You guys know the classes are getting larger each year that goes by, but we get to know each of you individually, and we know all of your patterns and habits and things like that. So, don't feel like you're gonna cheat the system because you signed in and then you left. We know all of you, okay, and we will take note of that as well. Okay? And it's just not respectful to the other classmates of yours that come to class all the time and stay, all that stuff. So we're trying to make it a fair environment for everybody, okay? Or if you're someone who habitually turns things in late, or asks for extensions, or doesn't follow directions, things like that, we just take it all into account. We're not gonna chastise you, but we do consider it when we're looking throughout your results.
The one pet peeve that we've been dealing with lately is everyone else's class are more important than ours. Oh, this has been more recent, habitual, that everybody has an excuse why they can't submit assignments to our class or can't be bothered to come to your nutrition classes because they're too busy with another class that's more important to them.
We had a midterm in my class, and they told me that they had 2 other midterms. I was like, and? Like, that's not a valid excuse, and to tell me that you had 2 other midterms that were more important than mine, and you're in this program?
We get that. My other class is more important.
Or I had work and I had school. Is this not school? I worked and I went to school. You worked and you went to school. It doesn't make any sense. So don't, and we'd love for you guys to be honest at the same time.
Of course.
But yeah, stuff like that, you just have to think about the interactions that you're having with everybody,
And again, when it's habitual, not a once in a while.
Yeah.
It's a habitual. Did I get all my annoyances out? There'll be some others that will come up, I'm sure. All right, so anyway, so all of that will be factored into the letters. Okay, I think we got the hard stuff. Okay, so we already mentioned personal statement, I already mentioned, again, personable, not too personal.
Sorry, before I move on,
No, you can ask.
about references. So I started my diagnosis application last year, and then I didn't follow with it. And so I got one letter that was completed, and I would like to use a different person, not that this Braden's burned, but there's been a lot of updates. Of course. On the website here, it says I can't delete it, but I can reopen it. So that same person could write me a new one. So I was hoping that can I just cancel this person and
That, you might just have to start a brand new application.
Oh.
Because I don't know how to move somebody, because I know it does work, because it happened last time that someone applied and then pulled it out, and then they applied for this next round that we just did. And so when they asked me for a letter, it saved everything that I had, and I was able to just go and update.
Or call Dicus, just
Yeah.
call them.
And as an applicant, I don't know.
I don't even, but call Dicus, they may be able to reset it for you.
And it won't send them another request until you initiate it, so they're afraid that that's going to happen.
Oh, thank you.
Sure. Okay. So we did personal statements, we mentioned those. Transcripts, it does take time, so Sandra already mentioned that. As you get going, do request your letters and your transcripts right away, because with transcripts they take time. Dicus will actually verify to make sure that your transcripts are legitimate and valid and official and all that great stuff. So get those going early because they can take some time. Do not wait until a week before your Dicus deadline to start your transcript process. So get that done right away. And then the other stuff you have plenty of time to type in all your other stuff. We already did resume. Oh, okay, so let's do computer matching. Computer matching is fun. So this is the next fun one. Okay. So in addition to the Dicus system, and people get confused with too many D's, there's D&D computer matching. So Dicus, D&D, I know it gets very confusing, but it's very important that these are 2 separate systems. Okay? They are not the same thing. What computer matching is, it's a mathematical algorithm that people only like my husband would understand that makes it so that it tries to maximize internships for students. So what it will do is that when you are applying to multiple programs, and even if you're applying to one program, you must rank the programs in the order in which you want to attend those programs. So if you apply to 5 programs, you have to list choice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the true order that you want to go there. We then interview candidates, and this is where it's very painful for us. If we interview 20 people, we have to rank you 1 through 20. We can't just say, oh, but everybody's great and the same. We can't. We have to rank you 1 through 20. Computer then decides a match. You are assigned on match day to one internship program. So the computer maximizes your choice with the program's choice and tries to give everybody the best option. So, neat, yay. By the way, there is a D&D fee, so sorry, there is a fee, you gotta pay for it.
And even if you only have one
Got to do it.
internship, you still gotta pay for that.
Still have to do it. So even if you're applying to one, if they participate in computer matching, then you must pay the fee and list one program as number one. That's okay to do that. So with this, don't outsmart the system. Rank only the programs that you really would attend, because you know Murphy's Law. If you're going to apply to 5, you don't really want to go to Nebraska, but I'll throw it in there. Which one are you going to get matched to? Nebraska. So really, only programs that you are absolutely serious that you want to go will you rank.
And make sure, because we talked about this in 271, make sure you know all the program details in case you do get matched. Like if it's $44,000 for the internship, make sure you know that. Make sure you know that you have to move to wherever the internship site is. We'll get to that one.
Oh, no, that's a good one. Oh, let's do.
This is like a week before the internship started.
Mr. Miami. Let's call it Mr. Miami.
Yeah.
That's where he was from, Miami.
I didn't know that I had to move to Las Vegas to do the
This is didn't know. Didn't know there was a cost associated with moving. And then just realized he couldn't live with mommy and daddy anymore and had to have a place to live. This was 10 days before, and I never take vacation. And I was getting ready to go on my Alaskan cruise, and I get this, like, or something like that. So I had to, like, stop my life and figure out what to do and try to get another intern. But then this one has the nerve, can you keep my application on hold for next year? Oh,
No. And then we have other applicants where she applied to an internship in New Jersey, and she didn't know it was $50,000 for the internship, on top of living expenses, and she would have had to move there, So like you'll see, and like we will talk about, getting accepted and then refusing is not a good one.
So do your homework. So just be serious about the program. When you're doing your matching, be serious. And again, don't outsmart the system. So here's the third thing that happened. It hasn't happened recently, but it's happened to us in the past. You may know that Reno has a dietetic internship, and they do have positions here in Las Vegas. So I can't tell you this. Oh, that's what I wanted to finish earlier. The competitiveness with each other. We're going to get into code of conduct in a little bit. We'll do that. But we know how competitive you are with each other, sometimes unnecessarily. People try to outsmart the system and say, well, you know what I'll do, because there's so many other students in my class that are applying, and then everyone has the panic of everybody's better than me, and I don't have a chance. I'm going to put Reno as my first choice, even though they're not my first choice. And then where do they get matched? Reno, because you put it as your first choice type thing. And then they come back to us and say, can you undo it? We can't undo it, so to speak. So be serious. If Reno is your first choice, put Reno. If Reno is your third choice, put Reno is your third choice. Just be serious. Don't outsmart the system, because there is no outsmarting the system.
And then from there, the worst scenario of all that really sucks, and like Dr. Russell said, it hasn't happened in a while. You rank, we rank, or any program will rank. And you panic, and you don't feel like the interview went well. And you had us as number one, you're like, no, I'm just going to drop them down to like 2 or 3 because my other interview went better. We ranked you highly. They say you interviewed at like ASU. They didn't rank you. Guess what? No internship. So do not change your mind if you are confident that you want to come here, or if you want to go to ASU. Whoever you want to go to, you need to rank the number one, because you're not going to get your second or third choice necessarily. That's where the whole algorithm comes into play that she was talking about. And it breaks our hearts when we see that these types of scenarios happen.
Happens a lot. Where when you leave your interview, sometimes you're not, I mean, it's stressful. Interview day is so stressful. And I will guarantee you, we're going to talk about interviews in fourth year, you're going to be nervous the day of your interview. Oh, we know you're nervous. It's normal. But so many students, like I said, they think, oh my God, I didn't interview well, and then they go messing up their rankings. Meanwhile, we thought you were fantastic, and you're you're our number one candidate. And then you don't get an internship because you move UNLV so far down the list, then you don't get an internship. So,
And I understand it right, you have, say you have two, you rank it in one. The one that you rank one, they have to want you to place you as number one as well?
Not at number one. In the top ranking of however many interns they can accept.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
okay.
So if we,
That's good.
No, that's too hard, yeah.
no, that's too hard. No, but if we take 15 interns, so I mean, if we have 15 interns and, 15 of you put UNLV at, if 15 of you wanted to come to UNLV and I had 15 spots, well then our top 15 will get in, if that makes sense. But if I have 15 spots and you rank UNLV 10th, that's where it gets kind of tricky. Then it's like, well, maybe, it doesn't rank you highly. But if you put, let's just pretend you put UNLV as number one, and, again, and then we interview 15 of you, and yeah, all 15 of you would come to UNLV. It always favors the preference of the student.
Scenario. So say you ranked at number 16, but you only take 15 spots. Is that where I'm like a possible,
Because who we chose as number 10, they have chosen UNLV as their fifth choice of program.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Happens all the time. Student number 10, we might be one of 5 programs that they apply to. So that would put you up to 15.
Yeah, so there's a possibility if you are down lower, you get bumped up higher. You would never know that though, like, it tells you that you're
Yeah,
not,
don't
you never
tell
know.
us your rankings, by the way, don't tell us, you do not need, and don't tell any, you do not need to disclose to any program what your rankings are,
And we will not tell you.
and we don't tell you what your rankings are. So, it's confidential, so you don't need to tell the program, hey, you're my first choice.
Yeah, that's a good point. Something that's a little harsh in an interview is to come down to like, this is my only choice and my only option, right? A little aggressive. We get it. I was the same way, like I couldn't afford you, however, you don't want to like come in and that.
We get it for a lot of
You gotta
things,
take me,
choice.
then what am I gonna do?
It's okay, it's right. It's okay if we are your only option or your best option, but just don't.
Yeah.
Just find it.
Yeah.
How many choices do you get for the ranking?
How many do you want to?
For you can apply to as many programs as you like.
Yours has to pay for each program that you're applying to, you have a separate application fee for that, but yeah, that's completely up to you.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. So backing up to every program has their own deadline. Every program has an individual application fee in addition to the DICUS and the D&D. So there are 3 fees you're going to pay. So DICUS fee is a flat fee. D&D fee is a flat fee, but then every program has an application fee.
And make sure, because like for our program fee, you need to bring a physical check with an application form with it upstairs. Please make sure you give us the UNLV application, not UNR's.
Oh my God.
Or
Somebody
one in
else's.
Tallahassee or something, like, pay attention to what you're doing, and address the checkout properly as well. Don't write it to her, don't write it to
Oh
me.
my God.
Don't write it to Chase, like, it goes to the board of That's how we fund this GA. No, don't do that on camera.
Yeah, or credit card authorization form, but yeah, follow instructions. We got one this round that was the most bizarro, I don't understand. It was a Reno application that came to us, but it was addressed to UNL, oh, it was just a
Yeah, the
nightmare.
checks were made out properly in the envelope, and then the application
It was so
like,
screwy, we're like, I don't know what to do.
Is there an online payment option or do you have to?
Yeah. Credit card authorization, and you can fax it. So in our case, yeah. it's
yeah, there's nowhere to go online to do it, but yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, credit card authorization and goes to the bursar's office. Those of you that are here on campus, if you're interested in UNLV, you can fax it or you can just carry it to Dawn. You know, Dawn collects it, so you can hand it to her. Or again, if it's another program, then find out. But most of the time, they take credit cards as well.
At what point do we receive our ranking?
On match day, so D&D will tell you. So in
They did for everybody in the country too.
yeah.
It was November 4th this past round, so it's always a Sunday. And it's always usually at 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock at night that they'll release it. Now, don't panic, it happened to me, but everybody in the country at the same time is trying to log on to see if they got matched for internship. So the website crashes. So I had to wait like 2 hours to see if I got matched to my internship. So just keep checking frequently, because they will not release it until that specific time.
That's brutal. Sunday, boy, it came up right away. Oh, match is here, guys. So, yeah, it's in practice, obviously, because I was like, big right away.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Students are emailing
Yeah,
me
I'm
immediately,
assuming
like,
that
hey,
the website's
congrats.
better than it used to be, but yeah, like, just keep that in mind and don't stress that.
Yeah, so, and then with that, so you'll be matched to one program. And then you have usually until 5 o'clock Tuesday, following that Sunday, to accept your application or deny. Want to do your speech at denying?
So, like I said before, it's in very poor taste to get accepted to an internship and then turn it down. There's legitimate reasons for turning it down. A death in the family, some medical issue, that is
Absolutely.
the exception.
Absolutely.
But you shouldn't turn it down like, you know, I'm just gonna go start my master's somewhere and then I'll come back and do this later. Or, I wasn't really ready to do this yet, or I can't afford to do this right now. You need to have all this stuff figured out before you apply, interview, and get accepted. And to even go through that whole process and then say no is just like baffling to me because it's already stressful now.
Wow, a lot of time, and money.
Something like a master's degree, you got time to do that. Okay, you've got plenty of time to go get your master's degree after your internship. If you want to get your master's first, that is fine. That's what I did. Don't apply for an internship then. Okay? Now, there's different scenarios where some people will kind of apply to both as a backup. You know, they're going to apply for an internship and for a master's program. The master's will be a backup in case they don't get matched for an internship first round. They can start their master's and then they can reapply or something like that.
Absolutely.
Okay? But yeah, don't, not just ours, any internship in the country, like don't turn it down for a silly reason. There has to be some merit there because program directors talk to each other, and if you go back to reapply, you know, we can contact anybody, they can contact us, etc. So just be smart about how you're spending your money, the time that you're putting into these applications, and if you truly do want to go through it.
So just make it work. But again, we don't want to scare you away. The personal emergency, family emergency, those things happen, and certainly does.
Yeah, sometimes things do happen like a week before, and all of a sudden you have to pull out. We get it. If it's an emergency in a legitimate situation, yes.
No problem. Okay, so that's your computer connection. Does that make sense for everybody? Ooh, fun stuff. So with that, other things to talk about. Most of you know about licensure and that we are a licensed profession here. Keeping in mind that once you become a dietitian, there's no other exam to be licensed, so it's just a fee. And actually, we updated this. It's now $100 instead of $200, so it's gone down. But keeping in mind, and don't worry about this because it could change by the time you guys apply for your license anyway. But you do need fingerprinting, criminal background check all over again. So it's just one of those things that don't finish your internship. Woohoo! I'm going to commit a felony. Because then you have to do license and practice. Don't do it.
Do you have to pay for your own fingerprinting and background check?
Yes.
Okay, sure do. So
I'm sorry, what was that question?
for licensure, once you become a dietitian, you have to go through the fingerprinting again and the criminal background check again.
And you were responsible
And-
Oh,
for
that's
for
what
it.
her, that's what she said.
That's what she asked.
That's what she was just saying, yeah. So I guess the jokey part was don't finish your dietetic internship and go commit a felony because then you can't get licensed in practice. You have to go through criminal background check all over again. So don't do that, if that makes sense. And then each time you renew your license, you don't necessarily need a new criminal background check, but if you obtain a criminal record, the state can revoke your license. So it's just don't do it. You don't want to lose that. Okay, so then master's degree. For those of you that don't know, we finally have a master's degree here at UNLV. For most of you sitting in the room, it doesn't affect you directly, but as of January 1st, 2024, you must have a master's degree to sit for the exam. So most of you in this room are going to be finished before, so it's really not going to impact you. That was my little typo thing when I made down there. So, as Sam mentioned, we wanted to talk with you about options, and a lot of people are saying, do I do a master's first? Do I do an internship first? And there's so many different ways. There's no right or wrong answers. So my advice is, for those of you that feel ready to do a dietetic internship, apply for the dietetic internship. Fantastic. The nice thing about doing an internship first, like Chase did, is he is a dietitian. He now has a graduate assistantship that I need him to have the dietetic credential. So he is now on a free ride. I pay his tuition. I would pay your health insurance, but you don't need it. Tuition, health insurance,
and he gets a salary to go to school. Pretty good deal. So because he is a dietitian, he was able to fulfill that. Some people the opposite, but then if you do a master's degree first, that's okay too, because then when you're applying for your dietetic internship application, you have more educational background and experience, and at the master's level, you bring that to the table into an internship. So there's no right or wrong. And then there's a backup plan. So I like the backup plan because some of you, if you're a little unsure, you could apply to an internship and a master's. And then if you don't get a dietetic internship, this is something that could happen here because right now our master's and our internship are separate. So you could always, if you didn't get an internship right away, you could start your master's in the fall, reapply for the internship. The January start date is far less competitive, by the way. Do your internship from January to August, and then resume your master's studies again the next fall.
Because
So you're not wasting time.
You get 6 graduate credits for completing the internship towards a graduate degree. Okay, so that's why. So I'll just tell them.
Yeah. You ready? Yeah.
So I did my master's first, and it was because I didn't feel prepared for the internship. I could not afford it. That was just the situation I was in. I had student loans for my undergraduate, and I didn't have the money saved to pay for the internship. So I started my master's. I was a graduate assistant. I saved up all of my stipends as a GA to pay for the internship, and I used the internship as like my last semester-ish of my master's degree. So that, like she said, there's no right or wrong way. People always ask, and whenever they hear that scenario, they think that that's like the wrong way. It's not. It really just depends on what works for you. The biggest thing here, so like for this January 2024, January 1st is the date. So if you're in an internship cycle where you're going to end February 14th of 2024, you got to get a master's degree. They're not going to grandfather that last month, and you have to have everything done before January 1st of 2024. So if you want to take some time off, take a break, that's fine. If you want to take time off, just make sure that you're paying attention to these deadlines and that 5-year recency requirement as well for your verification statement. So the 5-year recency basically means that after 5 years, your verification statement won't be valid anymore because the coursework isn't as updated as it should be for you to actually apply. Now, if you have that type of scenario happen, you might have to come back and retake DPD courses, so I can give you a new verification statement. Okay? So it does give you enough time to do a master's degree or to even do a PhD if you wanted to before you start your internship, but just keep all of that in mind. Now, once you do your internship, you finish, you get your credential, then you don't have to worry about a verification statement in that sense anymore. So then you can take your time with your master's, PhD, whatever.
So no right or wrong. Whatever works, great. Great.
I have to answer my own question, so let's say you do your undergrad before 2024, January 1st. Life gets in the way and you want to then apply for an internship. Do you have to get your master's first?
Is it after January 1st, 2024?
Yeah, so okay.
So the internship must be completed before January 1st of 2024 for you to be eligible to sit for the RD exam. So like I said, so if you finish in that round that finishes in February, you gotta get a master's degree before you sit for the RD exam. Yeah, and that's tough because if you have to get a master's degree after, that's, you know, at least 1.5 to 2 years, where most people like to take their exam right after they finish the internship, which is about 3 to 4 weeks afterwards. So you just gotta pay attention to it. So you guys are in kind of a nice spot right now, as long as you just kind of pay attention. The groups after you are going to have to kind of figure out how they want to commit to the profession.
Exactly. And the benefit of a master's degree, even if you don't need it, just in talking with folks that are working in hospitals and other settings, is that the salary scale is generally higher if you do have a master's degree. So some jobs actually require it. So where I work at Canyon Ranch, you have to have a master's degree. There are other job positions that require a master's degree. And even if they don't, in a hospital scale, most of the corporate world, it's like a scale. Your pay grade depends on your degree. So for the most part, it might make you more competitive to have the degree, but it won't be a requirement until 2024.
Then if anyone is interested in academia in the future, to teach upper division courses, you generally need at least a master's degree or higher in order to do that.
It's a personal decision, kind of like whatever works for you. At least you guys are flexible. You're still in the flexible stage. Well, we are looking for master's students. So our program is brand new, so we are looking for good master's students. So we're looking. On the last page, I'm not going to read this, but you want to be able to answer your questions as well. of a desired intern. One of the things to keep in mind is that the internship is a 7-month job. As I said, this is your whole program here is kind of like an interview for the internship. Internship is an interview for a job. And I think you've heard us say this, that we live in a very large city, but it's a small town when it comes to dietitians. Everybody knows everybody. And the intern with the poor attitude who's always late, da-da-da-da-da, it gets around to every place in this town. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. So we put some characteristics on here for you about good effort and work ethic. Enthusiasm is something that a lot of our preceptors are very, very frustrated with. You must display the same amount of energy on day one all the way through the program. So fake it.
It's gonna be hard.
Fake it.
On Sundays.
You're not gonna love every day. You fake it. You smile your way through. That's called being professional. Do you know how many meetings her and I have to sit in on that we want to just pull our hair out? But we are professional and we smile and we make it look like we would rather not be anyplace else. You have to do it. That's the way it is.
I'm gonna
you need to be open-minded. So you might have interests, and that's great. You might love diabetes or love children or love whatever it is. But be open-minded because what you have as a preconceived idea of what you want to do may change with an internship. You may be exposed to something completely different.
And maybe you are really interested in sports dietetics. I'll tell you right now, with our internship, there's not a lot of sports for you to see. So you have to be open-minded for the clinical food service and community portion, and then afterwards you can delve into some sports stuff.
Absolutely. Every sports dietitian needs to be a good clinical dietitian, though. That's the part that people are saying. If you're not a good clinical dietitian, you're going to make a lousy sports diet.
Yeah, it's a lot more than, oh, Gatorade and chocolate.
So again, good attitude, flexibility, adaptability, being very proactive. The internship, it is your responsibility to take advantage of everything. We're going to get to the code of ethics about accepting constructive criticism and being coachable. I'm going to let Sam hit that if you don't hit it, I will. Organized, punctual, all those things. So let's get into this code of, especially the match, what's happened previously with match, the competitiveness, match day, and then the criticism stuff.
Okay, so there's a possibility that more of you will be applying for an internship than we have slots for. And that is just the case. The program is growing, and it's just, we don't really have a lot of control over how many sites are willing to accept interns. It changes every round. Now, if you don't get matched to an internship the first time, if you don't succeed, try again, right? Have a good attitude about it. Accept it with dignity, and come talk to us if you didn't get matched. What can I do to make my application more competitive? Or, what were some of the things I was missing? Those students who do that, they come talk to us, and they make those improvements. They do incredibly well the second time. It's like they're almost like a different person. Confident, and they know how to handle that situation. What you should not do is if you don't get matched to an internship, do not blame Dr. Presto and I for why you didn't get matched to an internship. Do not blame the program. Do not start talking trash about peers who got into the internship, and you can't believe that they got one and you didn't get one. Do not talk poorly about the faculty, the administrative assistants, other dietitians in town, because whatever you say, we hear it. And if you don't say it here, and you say it out at an SMDA event, or at some other volunteer event, or at your job, we're going to hear it, because we constantly hear it. So, be very,
lately,
especially lately,
it's been really bad.
Where very aggressive and hurtful things are being said about people, either here or in the program, in the department, to others who don't have anything to do with the department. So now it's making a bad name for our department to the public. See what I'm saying? Not a good thing for you guys to do. Okay? So, with that being said, you don't get matched. Work your butt off to make yourself competitive for the next round of applications. If you want to do it the very next round, you can. If you want to take a round off and then reapply, show us that you're doing something to improve that application. Unsuccessful applicants who apply 2 and 3 times, they submit the same exact application 3 times. So there was no improvement, there was no, they didn't get like a job in between, or, a lot of those students who don't get matched, they'll sit for the DTR exam. That's a great fallback option as well. You get into food service and clinical a little bit, it gives you more experience, and then guess what, when you interview with us, you're kind of at the top of the pile.
Hospital speak.
Yeah, so the code of conduct and professionalism, it's not just for us as dietitians when you become a dietitian, it's for you as students in the program as well. Okay, so just like we talked about before, we see the things that you guys do in class and that you say in class and how you interact with each other. We see it inside of the classroom that you are with us, and we see it outside of the classroom if you don't have that class with us. Okay, so be very mindful of what you are doing, what you are saying, and how you are portraying yourself in this program, because we know individually and then it does reflect on you as a group as well. Okay? So like I said, friendly competitiveness with each other, but you also must demonstrate respect to your instructors, peers, mentors, anybody in your realm. At this point, you need to make sure that you're paying respect to them, even if they're not dietitians. Okay? We have many qualified people within this field that aren't dietitians that are here to help you and here to make you successful, and you guys need to learn to accept feedback and criticism like mature adults. Okay? And this is something that we will cover next semester. I have a whole peer-reviewed article about accepting feedback with grace. Okay? Now there is a way to give feedback that is professional, you know, and certainly some people are not good about giving feedback, but there's also a proper way to accept that feedback. Okay? We're not perfect. I know we all want to be perfect. I'm not perfect. We see it in our teaching evaluations. We get it. If you're going to evaluate us, then you have to expect for us to evaluate you as well. And you need to be able to be mature enough to accept criticisms that we're not doing it to be mean. We want you to be better practitioners than we are. That's always our goal. Everyone that we produce in this program, we want them to be better than we were. Okay? So that's why we push you, and that's why we set deadlines, and it might seem like, oh, they're really coming down on me. It's for your success as a future dietitian and in the internship. Because once you get into the internship, there's no complaining, there's no crying, there's no, oh, I didn't make the deadline, none of that. You don't follow the rules, you get dismissed from an internship. Okay? So I know I was like the mean one, but I'm just trying to be stern with you guys so that you get it. Okay? I promise you, I'm not setting you up for failure. We are not setting you up for failure. We are trying to make you confident, just decent human beings. Just be nice. Yes.
Okay, so with the internship, there's out of curiosity, I know you can tell me, but so on the first day, do they like just throw you into the world, or are you like following?
For you, Tammy, we'll make sure we go.
Yeah, for you.
No. So you'll have an orientation with us, okay, and we'll kind of go over everything that you're going to expect. But each hospital is different too. But not one hospital will ever send you into a patient room by yourself. You're going to do some shadowing, and you're going to do some mentoring. And even when they send you on your own, you're still always going to go back to the dietitian, and they're going to check everything that you did. So interns get a feeling, what if I kill somebody? I'm not going to. The dietitian will not allow for you to do that because you are practicing under their license. Okay, so don't worry about being like completely lost. Like, find your way.
Okay. And in 431 class next semester, we bring the interns in so you can ask them questions like that, so they can tell you about their first day, what they expected versus what it's never what you expect. You can't predict what it is until you get there.
That's what we said. We talk about it all the time, but even this last round of interns, I asked them, I'm like, it was nothing like we described. They're like, no, you just never know until you physically step in, and each site is different. My experience at St. Rose is different than those at UMC or Spring Valley, etc.
So we'll bring interns in so you can ask them a question.
I will say though, my first 2 weeks I was in the NICU at OC, and that was kind of I was shadowing, of course, so it wasn't like I was just charting on patients and the NICU, but it was a little bit kind of crazy just trying to see just how intense it was for people. So just be ready for that.
Yeah, some places are more intense than others for sure, depending on the location. UMC is a county hospital, so they see everything.
So how does, like, when you get accepted, and then, so how do you pick who goes to, like, what hospital? Do you just, like, randomly assign? Or?
Nothing's ever random.
Yeah, we have, we'll go through interviews, but you interview with our preceptors, so the hospital preceptors, really, we try to do the best fit on this person would be better at my facility or my facility, so there's a lot of personalities in nutrition and dietetics. And with the constructive criticism, not all dietitians are nice. I'm going to tell you, there are some that are going to make you cry. That's the way it is. They're just not the hand-holding, sensitive type. So you need to learn to accept criticism from those people. Then you're going to get Judy Patootie at Sunrise Hospital, who will be your best friend, and who's going to hold your hand and make you feel like $1 million. That's Judy Patootie. That's her style. So, and you're going to have everything in between. So we try to put you at a place where you will be successful, But that being said, there are different personalities, and that's why we need to teach you how to accept constructive feedback. Because there are people that you're gonna feel the feedback is harsh, but it's the way it is. Everybody who's working with you, by the way, is donating their time. They're preceptors, they are not getting paid. If they were getting paid, you'd be spending 50 grand on an internship. If we had to pay our preceptors, we'd be spending that kind of money. So they aren't being paid, they all do it because they love making you dietitians. They just do it in a harsher way than others. Some are harsh and some are not.
So and that's in the hospital. It's like
That's
the community. So like I'm the community preceptor. So I do all the scheduling for community, and I put people in specific sites based on what I know about them or the experiences that they've had in the past. Maybe I want them to get a different experience, for example. So like if someone had a lot of like experience, I don't want to put them there because I want them to see something different in the community. Those preceptors are the same. For the most part, I would say the community preceptors are a little fluffier. They're a little nicer than the little ones tend to be. But every once in a while, you may get one who is a little bit harsher in their criticism. And it's the same thing. You just have to accept it with grace. If there's ever an issue, they contact me if there's something going on. And then we are the intermediaries with if there are issues between you and your preceptor or things like that. Now, in the hospital, you gotta have a thick skin. I was talking to a patient one day, and the doctor literally just stepped right in front of me like I was standing there. I was like, all right. And what do you just walk out? Like that's all you can do. I mean, I look younger anyway, so I was always a disadvantage. But just different things like that. Not every nurse is going to be friendly. They work 12-hour shifts, sometimes 5 days in a row. They're changing bedpan. Like I have plenty of nurses like, oh, so-and-so just threw the bedpan on me, covered in urine. So they're not going to be happy, or they're not going to want to talk to you. Don't take it personally. That's just the way the hospital works.
Are you at the hospital? Do you get kind of preceptor, like different dietitians, like for example,
Absolutely.
diabetes? Yeah.
It does depend on the facility too as to how many dietitians they have. Like St. Rose has a ton of dietitians, and then other hospitals might only have like 1 or 2.
Yeah, like Horizon or Chase is Chase Maddie, and then Sunrise, you could have 10 different dietitians that you work with. It just depends on the size of your facility.
Is it true that you can't replace a hospital that you work at or have worked at?
You can, we just try to give you a different experience. Something you can't, but we try to give you the best experience we can. And then with the conduct thing too, that we mentioned with this match day, I'm also going to ask and I'll remind you again over and over, come match for, was it April? Be sensitive and kind to one another, because if there are a couple classmates that don't get a match, be sensitive. We had some issues last year where people were dancing around like, I don't think
And don't start like group
it's
about
just
those who didn't get
do
an internship.
You
Like,
know?
that's completely inappropriate too,
Yeah.
and that happened too. That's one reason I'm bringing it up. Like, don't start talking trash about those who didn't get an internship. Oh, I expected so-and-so not to get one. Like, don't do stuff like that, because we're gonna hear about it. And just because you didn't apply for that round doesn't mean that like you're safe all of a sudden. So just be nice to each
Just
other.
be sensitive to one another, because somebody may not get an internship.
And
in
other
the
thing,
first
can
round.
I add to that too?
Yeah.
Expectations. So in the past few years, we've had some students with certain expectations as if, well, I'm definitely gonna get an internship because I do so much volunteering, or I do this for the department, I do this,
Oh,
this,
yeah,
this,
yeah.
that. It's not a guarantee. Just because you're in SNDA or on the board or anything like that, it certainly helps, and it's only gonna help you, but it's not a guarantee that like you're a lock for any positions. Okay, so just come in with humility. Know that you're comparing yourself to other people and you should be competitive, but like by no means you should not expect
Right.
an internship from whether it's from us or anybody else. We would never promise to talk to anybody either, so that's not fair.
It's not, but I think that's part of the intimidation factor
Yeah.
in the past, where some students have intimidated. Well, everyone knows I'm going to get an internship because I did this, and then it intimidates some of the rest of you where, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't apply for an internship.
Yeah, because we've had rounds where we thought like 30 of our students were going to apply and then 10.
And we find out it was, basically professional bullying, or I don't know the word for it, but other people, basically an attitude of no one else should bother applying because I'm.
Criticism would be coachable, so if you get placed into an internship, the scale is different than when you're in school. So we rate you on a 1 through 5. It's not equivalent to A through F. So we've had a lot of interns in the past who get very personally upset and hurt that they were given a 3 on their evaluation score. That does not mean a C. That means you are minimally competent. If you received a 4 and a 5 on most of your competencies, why would you need an internship? The whole point of the internship is to make sure that you are learning material that you didn't know before, and that you can actually put it into practice. So a 3 is not bad. We can't accept 2s or 1s, But a 3 is not like, oh, I just made it. Like, don't think of it in those terms. And then, like I said, we have other preceptors who are super, like Jake, or either really bad. So we just have different people with different personalities, but then you have some other preceptors who are very harsh, and they might make you redo competencies 2 or 3 times before they're willing to give you a 3. So again, just accepting that feedback and then not dwelling on the fact that you only got 3s. It's not at all the same as when ABC. Like, you're not going to get a 5 for punctuality from me.
That's an expectation. Right. Yeah, that's a good example. Yes, if
You
you're on
show up on
time, you don't get a 5 for showing up on time. You don't get a 5 for being a general nice human being. That's a 3. That's what we expect of you. If you go above and beyond on a daily basis, then you maybe get a 4 or 5. Does that make sense?
We've had people who get very offended by the 3s on like appearance, like don't take that personally either. Like, I should have been a suit though. Fine, not a big deal. Okay? Not that personally. That's not like that's not. Yeah, we kick out of an instance. Oh, you got a 3 on appearance. Yeah,
no, appearance is more like you're in a hairnet when you're supposed to be, things like that. You don't have to do
hygiene
it.
is also.
We'll do some next semester too, but
It's bad for us that we have to say something. So, and I'm going to assume everyone who shows up to things like this, like you're more ahead of the game, so like we don't have to tell you, but hygiene. You're going to be around a lot of people in a very close proximity for an extended period of time, 5 days a week at least. Make sure that you can stand next to someone and you don't want to vomit while you're standing next to them. Make sure that you don't have an odor coming off of you that is just completely unbearable. Because guess what? In the hospital, everyone's really honest. And be like, all right, man, like you can stand over there while we do this assessment because I can't take it right now. Don't blame it on the room. It's like, oh, this patient like had a funny smelling room. If you know it's you, it's you. Okay? Wash your hands frequently. You're in a hospital. Do you want to get sick? No. It's also for the protection of the patient. Okay? Wearing appropriate clothing. This hasn't happened in years, but we had interns in the past who showed up in a mid-drip tank top and a mini skirt and heels and shoes ready to go do their assessment. Don't dress like that. It is not appropriate. I don't know how you would stood for 8 hours in heels to begin with. You need to be mobile and active, and you need to be able to adapt.
On that note, too, also follow your contact and isolation protocol at hospitals. I actually, while I was at UMC, State was there, and they happened to be evaluating my floor, and because they knew I was an intern, they watched me gown up, go into the room, properly gown down, and I, foam in and foam out, and they said if I would have messed up at all, I would have been in the hospital, but.
And you will learn that. Like, we're not going to teach you that in school. Like the hospital will have different protocols. You'll be taught how to do that. The other side of that, so hygiene. So yeah, if you got like really bad BO, that's a bad thing. On the other side of that, too much perfume, too much cologne. Okay, just be courteous to people around. Yes, everything. Certain hospitals might have some rules about tattoos. So like when I did my internship, I did not have tattoos, so I was like in here. And I have one of my fingernails. That's not usually allowed. I'm not trying to put you guys up. That's not usually allowed in hospitals. It's for there to be ink on your hands or like an exposed area where you might be touching the patient or shaking someone's hand or something like that. So just make sure you're following the protocols of your particular hospital. If you really want to get like a face tattoo, maybe just wait till after the internship is over. That's also
depends. Most of the time it's business casual with lab coat. It doesn't spring if you actually wear scrubs. So it depends on the hospital. But most of the time it's business casual and lab coat.
Yeah, for me, my lab coat was down to my ankle, so like it didn't matter.
I got you a short one. So the short length would have been normal. So yeah, and we provide you with, it's our program, we provide you with lab coats.
You will have like certain shoes, like for your food service rotation, for sure, you're going to have like a no slip-on type of shoe. You can find them at Payless and Walmart and all those places. And then I just wore it during clinical because it's really comfortable. But as far as that goes, like I was just comfortable, that you can move around it and be able to keep things for an extended period.
Absolutely. Each hospital will have their own dress codes. So, the basic closed toe, closed heel, no bare skin. So you have to wear nylon if you really want to wear a skirt. You got to cover those legs up, all that stuff. But each hospital will have an individualized protocol. It does vary hospital to hospital. Sunrise example is no denim at the time period to be closed. Another hospital may allow a denim belt. Who knows? So you will be given individual results. Yeah, summarize, no general.
And then, peer teams could be, based on the hospital as well, maybe some are okay with the nose read, others may not, so it's kind of, make sure you're asking what they need. Or just a safer than sorry.
Yep. But the corporate America is like that too, so just keep that in mind, it's not just hospitals. When I work at Canyon Ranch, I'm allowed a 1 inch tube urine, so it's killing me, but it's, I like big. I'm a bigger the better, I can't. So even in a corporate environment where it's not a hospital, I'm allowed a 1 inch tube urine, nothing more. So keep in mind that whether it be corporate, same with tattoos, policy is, you have to cover your tattoos. So I'm in a corporate environment, and if I don't have any, but if I did, I would have to wear long sleeves in the summer, if that's what I need to do. So keep that in mind. I guess the thing, like the hands, I usually wear gloves in the hospital.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, keep your moving. Yeah, but they're a lot more lax. I know Desert Springs, they don't have any issues with tattoos. As an example, we had an intern over there where there's short sleeve scrubs and it's not a problem. Other hospitals are tattoos must be covered. So whether again, go long sleeve or maybe wearing a glove and whatever.
And then food service, sometimes restaurants will let you show tattoos, sometimes they won't, depending on the hospital picture as well.
Like I said, the face tattoo don't do it right now. That's another thing. We'll get into this with interviews too, but with hospitals, they are corporate. So the day before the internship is not the time to dye your hair blue because they may require they call, I know it's probably, I don't know if this is politically correct, but natural colored hairs, anything on the spectrum is fine, but they don't consider pink, blue, green, rainbow. A lot of times they will not allow you to do that. It's usually like high school just for girls, so and then same for an interview, and then we always recommend if you're going to be interviewed for a dietetic internship, whatever the policy is for the internship program is how you show up for your interview. So again, if the policy is natural colored hair, don't show up for your dietetic internship interview with rainbow hair. That kind of thing. And same thing, don't wear excessive cologne. Don't wear we'll get into this, distracting jewelry during the interview. I mean, just don't. I'm not jingling too. I'm usually like the jingly one, but don't do that during the interview, things like that. We'll get into that next semester. But it's just not a good time to change your hair color to something really drastic or get to tattoo your whole face or something like that. It's pretty early.
We're not saying you can get a tattoo, but it's in an area you can cover. I would be the last person to not get a tattoo.
I'm going to tell you.
Yeah,
we just don't want you to be like, oh no, I didn't know I had to cover my tattoo. Darn. Anything else? I don't know. Pretty
you guys have questions?
Yeah, let's do
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot.
We talk about it so often that it's correct.
Okay, so if you're graduating in May, then diets will open in December, usually like 8, 9, 10, something like that. You will have a deadline of February. You're going to be applying for spring match. You must check the website for the exact date. Just be thinking in your brain February 1. But then check each program to see what their individual deadline is. If you are not graduating until next December, you will have a September deadline. Diets will open in July and then maybe early September. So that's your timeline. And we're going to, just so you know, for those of you that I will class with next semester in 431, we will spend the first 2 class periods of 431 because you're going to be in the process of doing this. Yeah, so we start school January 25th. So we will spend the first 2 class periods in 431 doing all this internship, this application stuff. And then I mentioned I also bring the interns in early as well. So the interns that are finishing in February, I try to bring them in early so you can ask them questions as well to get there for that. So this isn't the last time to ask questions. You will do it. And then over winter break, if you're doing applications, I'm not going anywhere over winter break. So you can email me over winter break, whatever. I'm not going. Just don't email me like Christmas Eve. I have like very little, I don't check email Thanksgiving Day. I do not check email oftentimes the day after Black Friday. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, I do not check email. Just give me a heads up. Other than that, I'll check email. I don't know what your policy is. I'm just going to do my phone. But very few days a
This round would be March.
Every March, usually towards the end of the month, I can't pick an exact date, it's factories and grade and all stuff. It's always mid to end of October, mid to end of March. So that's a good point. We try not to hold interviews over spring break week. We try not to. But we are dealing with 15 different preceptors. If for whatever reason it's the only day that can work, we will do it on spring break week. And no, we will not give you a makeup interview if you are going away for spring break. We won't do it. We just can't. We have trying to get.
Yeah, we schedule it according to whenever match day is. It's going to be April, and spring break is different every year, obviously. So we need to make sure. Does that involve spring break? It's going to be really match day.
Yeah. So we will try our best to do not, but we can't make promises that we want. We don't like to do it spring break. We don't want to be here either. But if that's the day we have to do it, because that's when our preceptors are available, then that's when we have to do it. And it's always a Thursday. We always do a Thursday.
Just before you finish that.
So during the internship, you spend the 40 hours a week at the actual site, or will you actually be spending the traditional practice time?
Yeah, mostly at the sites, but we do a monthly meeting with Chase, so a little bit of outside. It's not a traditional classroom like every Monday or every Wednesday. It's mostly on site.
We'll have orientation, birthday meeting, community orientation, home orientation, and dates for presentations and things like that. So, I mean, you might be on campus 4 to 5 times with sessions in the year.
Yeah. You do it actually.
Yeah.
What was your question?
I was just asking, is there like a timeline on when come back and get accepted or?
Match day. That's that
Same
before
for
match day.
Yeah.
One day at whatever, 6
Sunday,
o'clock.
5 or 6 p.m. our time is that.
So it'll say if you log into that D&D digital, that they'll tell you when match day is. If you want to go to Fancy,
You have to apply for it. Because Fancy is only offered in October. We don't control Fancy. We don't do it to Fancy.
the Academy of 100,000 people doesn't schedule Fancy around our internship days.
Yeah, you can call it, are you going to do mine? Like, I'm not going to change Fancy for you. So, we have a lot of interns who apply for the round that's going to start in January. So Fancy for that round, there is the Nevada A&G meeting, okay, which you go to register, but you don't get to go to Fancy. So if you truly want to go to Fancy, you have to apply for the July start date internship. Okay? Fancy's awesome, it's a lot of fun. Maybe not the best idea to plan when you're doing it for free.
I wouldn't.
But if that's something that you want to experience, that will be the only round in which it is offered to you as a student.
We've gotten some very negative feedback that they wanted to go to Fancy, and how come Fancy isn't happening in April? I'm like, because we don't control the Academy. 100,000 people, they just don't make the meeting around our desires. Fancy meetings are scheduled for the next 5 years. It's not second year. So it's just, it's amazing, and it's always nastiness. You never get, I wish I got to go to Fancy. It's, how come you didn't let us go to Fancy? How come you're not making it so Fancy in April? I mean, really, it's the negative and the nasty.
People will complain about the hotel that we can do. We're paying you, go to Fancy.
It's the Fancy hotel. It's the hotels that Fancy pre-selected for us.
No, it's better than that.
Fancy makes us hotels. We don't do it intentionally. It is. It's not our fault. But no, literally, Fancy gives you the list of hotels, and it's literally, you have to be their pre-Southwest Airlines and this. That's what you have to do to get a probably at Fancy. You have to, at 6 a.m. on whatever June 1st, you have to be there clicking the button, or you don't get a hotel room. Because I'm up at 5:45.
She gets in early.
5:45. I'm sitting at my computer ready to click the button trying to get a hotel room. But please do not complain. We can't help you if Fancy is in
Those
October.
of you who don't know, Fancy is the Food Nutrition Conference and Expo, it's the annual conference for dietitians.
So yeah, so this time we're going to Reno. Yay! Woo! So if you don't like Reno, sorry.
I should go. Yeah, I'm president left.
Yeah. I guess I should be too.
We'll have to plan.
We have to go there. But we can't control things. And again, it's all about attitude, so it's very disappointing to us when interns do things like yelling at us because Tennessee is in October. Or,
One year, we couldn't make it, the weather was so bad, they brought us a plane, and we just couldn't go.
it was a 60-mile-an-hour, 70-mile-an-hour windstorm, the airports were closed, we were closed, Reno was closed,
I
everything.
mean, Reno was like less than an hour flight anyway, and so we didn't want to go into that.
It was awful, we sat in the airport.
Hard for not going. Number one, we're not required to go, and we've done that. Like, we go as a courtesy to the university, and we're not to be supportive. And for fencing, we do have work that we do, but we're not required to spend time with the interns or be there with them. So that is a learning experience for you as interns to go through conferences, to network, and things like that. So if something is out of our control, like the weather, we also don't control the weather, then we will not be there with you, and it's not, that's against our control.
Yeah, interns were up there early in the morning, we had to work here, we were on a road. Yeah, that's right, oh, that's right, that was fun. But then, we were flying up at 3, and we sat in the airport till late that night, and then they said, the best we can do is fly you up standby Saturday morning.
Why? Airport closed early,
Yeah, it was just awful, so we're like, no, we're not going to fly standby, and then by the way, if you fly standby, you can report to the airport at 4 a.m. to get on the standby flight, or it's just, and then the conference ended at 2 o'clock, which wasn't worth it. So yeah, it was amazing how the interns literally chewed us out because we didn't get there. Like, we don't control the weather, and the airports are closing down airports. But again, it was the attitude, and it really set, people that, sorry, we're not intentionally not going to have.
And when you go to these things, even if we're there, we're not going to walk around and be like, oh, see, this is one of our contacts from Michigan, but that's not us. Like, that's all on you. Yeah, that's all on you to like go network and like meet people and things like that. You're grown-ups. Oh, you're grown-ups and you're supposed to be really good on your own now, so that's what it's meant for. It's not for us to babysit you or micromanage you or anything like that.
We've been getting a lot of brutal treatment the last couple of years. Last few years has been, that's why, I know you guys are laughing, but that's why we do this workshop, because nobody's tired.
We have to laugh.
You try to laugh, but it's really awful when, everything's awful.
Yeah, everything is awful. I mean, and for years going forward, like, just know that we've been through it, we understand. We went through the application process, we went through the stress of meeting, and all that stuff. So, you can't come at us as if you don't understand. Like, the program has changed drastically from when I used to where it is now. We've changed courses, in undergraduate programs. Internship changes constantly. You have new dietitians that come into play, new experiences. I mean, since I was doing that, I was like 3 new internships. Yeah, so there's all kinds of new fun things happening. And it's meant for you to take advantage of, not for us. We, like we've done. Yeah, don't lose your chance. Yeah, so that's the other thing too.
Yeah, let's do that.
You do your internship, pass your RD exam, you pay a yearly registration fee of $60. You the RD exam. And you also have to accumulate 35 CPUs every 5 years, and for the skill, you have to make sure that your license is paid for every year. Now, if you let your CPUs lapse, or if you don't pay your credentialing fee, you lose your credential. Now, what do you think happens? People stress. You come back here. Take like UPD courses. Then you have to apply for an internship. Do another 1,200 supervised practice hours, and then you can take a new updated exam.
Oh, that's true. You have to get a master's.
Don't lose it.
Now, the academy can be a little bit nice and say, oh, we'll just maintain the testing error, we'll just, but they also have the ability to start over if they're called. So don't lose your tempo. And certainly if you do something bad, they can make you start all the way over if they allow you to do something.
So the code of ethics is pretty good. Code of ethics is put into play for us as practitioners and for you as interns as well, that when you are interacting with patients, clients, you're acting professionally, and you are thinking of best practices for the patient and for their care and treatment, there are legal and ethical issues that might come into play in certain scenarios. Now, on a professional level, interacting with other dietitians is important that you maintain professionally. Working with those, what do you want to say, not below you, like you're mentoring a student, okay? There should be a professional relationship between the mentor and the student, both sides, okay? If you're working with other dietitians in the workplace, the same code of ethics goes into play in terms of fraternization. And you see where I'm going with this, and I don't want to keep saying the same words, get it? Okay? So, make sure that you're upholding those code of ethics, because if you don't, you have any concerns that you violated this code and this code, it gives you one code. It gives you one portion of a code, you're going to take your credentials. Okay? And then if you lose your license to practice in the state, then you're screwed. Because then you can't practice, you might have an RD credential, but if you do anything to violate your license in the state that you're practicing in, then you're registered dietitian and can't work. Okay?
But it is important. But that being said, it doesn't mean you can't have fun. Chase is our student. So do we not have fun sometimes? We sure do. So we have a good time. So we don't want to make it so awful, but there has to be a level of professionalism. So yes, we have fun, we travel together, we go to coffee foundation and dress up in Halloween costumes together. And then Chase is always so kind. Does Chase help us set up tables and chairs? Chase is very kind, he does that. But that's different than Chase go off my car, Chase going to do this, Chase going to do my laundry. That's different.
And also, as I point to, as an intern, you should never be expected to get coffee for everyone. That is not the expectation of us for you as an intern, that you're going to be pouring that head to. You're going to be getting coffee from the office, or you're going to have to get like your presenter's tire changed or something like that. That's not at all what this is. 100% dietetic.
Right. I'm going to do that being said, I'll show you.
I have one comment specifically on the business side of
Yes, good point, Brianna.
FDA laws are so valuable to you guys. Keep them, hold on to them so that when applications have time to know
Yes.
exactly where you did it, and you did it.
That's a good point, Brianna. Thank you for bringing that up. So, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, this is good news now. Yeah. Some people don't get up and remember. Yeah, a lot of people don't. At least the way that they can contact. That's a good point. Thank you.
Yeah, that's just for verification purposes, and if you actually did volunteer 1,200 hours or something.
how many people are we doing it? Are we going to be
Yeah, so you may be interviewing with 10 to 15 preceptors.
And
Including us. So usually it's about that. Yep.
panel interview.
We're going to go over that.
We're going to have state people, they walk into it, it's like, yes, we are a panel interview, not every program may be that way, it might be one-on-one wherever you're applying. You are not going to, you might see the other candidates in the hallway, but like, you're not going to hear your interview. It's going to be you in the room with the rest of us, asking you questions, going around. And yes, there's a clinical question, we're not going to tell you what it is, it's different every time. Please be prepared for that, but if you are in M&T, it shouldn't be an issue for you. We'll not cover it, you can remember it.
In 431, we're going to go over panel interviews, so we'll go over exactly what to expect. That's it. Well, it's going to be 10, depends how many people show. I mean, we usually have about 10 people at any given time. I remember one internship that one particular flu season, everyone had the flu and had like 4 people because everybody had the flu. It was like, okay.
And we usually don't even know who's that one.
Oh, because yeah, working in a hospital is always an emergency. So the person that's your major preceptor is also the clinical manager, and there's always fires to put out. So sometimes I think I have 10 people coming, and then again, I don't know. Or there's a change. Instead of this person, they send that person. So we don't know always exactly who's coming here. It's fine. We'll go over that during the interview. 15 minutes. Yeah.
Last year we did it. That was the question?
Oh.
That's maybe we did it. Well,
I don't know. It depends on the room that we're in. I need a clock so that I can, I'm the timekeeper, but you're welcome.
We'll keep you on track.
We'll keep you on track, so you don't have to worry about that. We'll keep you on track.
Like if we have like
If you have a clock and want to bring your own, I don't recommend you do the wall. I felt bad because, you know, when Chase go find me a clock, when the interview started, I go to the room we were in, didn't have a clock, and I felt bad doing this. And, you know, so then we went down to the clock, so I could have it across.
So what happens is, say if there are 15 people in there, what if enough people skip and they won't introduce themselves on the? Yeah, we can make it so it's only 15.
It's not your responsibility to stand in line. So go ahead.
You have enough to.
We're going to teach you, don't ramble. We're going to teach you.
Please don't ramble.
We'll teach you that. I spent 2 class periods on interviewing, and it's not just for internships, but apply for jobs or graduate school, so the principles I'm teaching you will apply anywhere, so it's relevant for everybody.
So you got an interview with 2 different, honestly, is that interview also in person or do you like?
It's your choice. So some programs, they may require an in-person interview. Other programs, we do the choice of in-person or meeting Zoom. I can always tell you though, or phone interview, I can always tell you that the meeting Zooms and the phone interviews, they just don't come across. You can't read body language, you can't read facial expressions. Now, we just admitted a whole bunch of students that their meeting Zoom interview was surprisingly well done. But sometimes there's that delay, or if it's a phone interview, you can't see facial expression.
It really speaks volumes to teach people in person. That program, yeah, I think we can do it. You know, we would never try to use a force to go with that credibility. But it definitely speaks volumes to whether it's us or another program. But then, like you said, like we had a Skype one that actually went really well.
Good.
So one of our interviewees, she was so committed to it, so she had just done this terrific accent with face accent and makeup. It was kind of a black eye. And instead of like pulling out of the interview or cheating, we gave her the option to see her on the phone. She's like, no, she showed up on Skype. You know, whatever it takes. So Skype is certainly better than the phone for sure. It's just tough because sometimes the connection can cut out. And we've had that where a couple rounds ago, we had someone where her connection was horrible and just kept cutting out and freezing. We couldn't even finish the interview. I think got 2 questions in, and finally we're not moving on to the next. So that's tough because we need to realize technology. And then when,
at the same time though, I mean, in all honesty, with this person, she interviewed beautifully. Her face was a mess, her lips were swollen, and she interviewed beautifully. So I'm like, wow, that was the best.
Yeah, no, I forgot that.
She interviewed so well.
Yeah.
So it was just amazing. I thought like this poor person, and she interviewed beautifully versus the person who had no issues, who didn't interview well on the computer. So. But it's your choice. But we don't want you to go into, nobody would expect you to go into debt, but I would say 9 times out of 10 in person, they're just better interviews overall. No, it's like the ground up. Oh.
So, I know that we've updated for students and we're trying to put it in. And then there's a $6,000 fee for the internship. Can you also do that to the questions or do that later?
It goes through educational outreach, collects all the money for everything.
That's why
So, yeah. So it's a non-degree granting program. The internship is independent of a master's degree. So you're a graduate student, but you're not in a degree program, so you're not eligible for federal financial aid. So everything is done through educational outreach. I'm told they accept payment plans, but I don't know the details that we have in here now.
and then with the graduate.
Oh, you did a payment plan? Okay.
With the graduate credits, make sure if you live here, you maintain that bad revenue.
Oh, yeah.
And the tuition price for the 6 credits, outside of the out of state, is pretty significantly higher.
Absolutely.
This is just not true. Yeah.
It's educational outreach. It's its own little business within UNLV.
Yeah, they have no website.
Yeah, so go to their outreach. Now keep in mind, one of the things, and I'll mention this again, is that I know internships are expensive, but ours is one of the cheaper programs in the nation. And actually, we're cheaper than they have, we just raised their price significantly. So we are inexpensive because of the programs, thank goodness. But one thing you may want to do is that if you are eligible for the student that's just a tip that you may want to consider.
Feedback and off the back, the 7-month program is part of it. Don't schedule it in the week.
Oh my God.
Happen.
Ew.
Okay, and then you're forced to make up every Saturday for the rest of the internship. You think you're dietitian preceptor and being happy about working on Saturdays to make your hours? Yeah. So, 7 months, just deal with the fact that you can't go on vacation. Or if you can do the internship, that's fine, as long as you're not interfere with what you're doing. Okay, but requesting time off, for something like that, is usually around the horn. Of course, if you're sick, car accident, that stuff.
Or your clutch breaks in the middle of the freeway, where were you?
It's
clutch.
right in the
Poor
middle.
shape Hannah. I think you're late for me, you're not gonna do that.
Right in the middle of an internship, I just got back from Canadian Chemicals. I was driving to UNLV, I live in Boulder City, don't know. And so I was driving to my clinical on the 95, I couldn't get in the fourth gear, and I was like, well, that's kind of weird. They're forcing the fourth gear, they will make that work. Then I got my Carlson and Broadway, and I couldn't get in first gear. My clutch disc actually broke, the entire thing broke on my way to UNLV. And so I panicked, I emailed Dr. Sam, I called my manager, I told him I couldn't come in, and I met the hours and I came in like an hour early for the rest of my internship. But yeah, I was. I had to go. So, and so yeah, I met the hours and it wasn't fun.
And that is totally different from taking a vacation. Now, there will be some weeks where you might have to work 6 days in a row to keep it, and you'd be very good about giving you extra time off and follow weeks and all that. So for the flexibility comes in, it might be like a healthcare when you can do something like that. And every hospital is different, like one of the things that I'm in hospital, it's usually works until 11 o'clock at night. That's your schedule. That's just your schedule. So you just have to, 7 months, be flexible, smile, and just press it. Go through that. We got a prayer the holiday schedule to your district, your holiday schedule. Yeah, so basically, the hospital's open 24/7, right? 365. So for the, that's the other thing about the July start date. So as long as you do the pension, you also have all the major holidays. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Expect to work all of those holidays. You might get lucky and the preceptor might give you one off or something like that. But there's expect to work any major holidays, 4th of July, Veterans Day, it doesn't matter in the hospital world.
I will say though, it was a blast at UNC the weekend after
Yeah, a lot of work that weekend.
Oh yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then also, you know, you hear the story.
How much alcohol was in did you see?
Oh, there's a ton of that. Yes, sir.
No, this year, ACC did not allow us to
Oh, the large crowd of accidents. And then the years.
yeah, they moved it more towards like, to the time of the summer, so.
And then my brother carries my rotation was the week after 4th of July too. Oh no, I love it.
Well, yeah, you'd be full.
Now, holidays can actually be somewhat fun in the hospital because the hospital, the environment itself is a little bit dreary at times. So like, we're not the same for everybody. Huge Christmas tree that Santa walking around, and the kids view and things like that. So you have to make fun out of it for yourself. So you have to like chuckle at someone that's being an idiot or laugh under your breath at something that you and that's just what you have to do on a day-to-day basis. And then
Okay, so for when you're in an internship, is there like a set schedule? Is there like sometimes you have to like on call and you gotta get if they need you?
yeah, it's not necessarily set. It's service you can be asked to come in at 5 a.m. and like in the morning, for example. And clinical, they have to come in at 8 or 10, or maybe they don't have to come in until 2. They want to come in at 5 at night. So there's really no, you can't do that.
Yeah, you're not on call, so they're not gonna say, commit, but you will.
No, we get that time.
You'll have like a schedule for the week, so this week you're scheduled with this, so you're not gonna be called in.
Yes, you can still like plan your life. Like you want to go to a concert on Saturday, of course, yeah, like you will.
Unless there's some emphasis. I know during the October 1 incident, our interns were in community, but they would have been called in. they've been in clinical rotation, everybody was called in. So students from other disciplines from UNLV were asked to come in. Does that make sense? Because of the critical care, because of all of those things, it just so happened that dietetic interns were not, again, in their clinical rotation. But students with all of the other allied health disciplines were called in on that because of the situation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that was a very different situation, but you were not on call on a regular basis. But remember, it could happen. I hope it never happens. But in a really tragic situation, it could be an everyday call.
I was just wondering, for your sixth grade or graduate school, does that mean you plan to attend
I'm sorry, I said it in 7 months. And the students are like,
No, I know she's sorry.
she's covered.
Yes, sixth graduate, so like basically, when you see it like on a transcript or whatever, you're gonna see 3 different courses. You see like nutrition 796, 798.
Okay, I didn't hear the question, so I'm sorry.
Yes, how long is sixth graduate program?
after the nurses are referred to the graduate, you have to choose option to come in, or I just want to have it straight.
Yeah, do you ever have anyone do it that way yet, or no? Yeah, you will, like, from the start date on your end date, you'll have the 6 credits and 1 2 and only do all.
So they're outside of the traditional fall. Their fall spring classes is special start and end dates. Because the internship is July through February and then January through August. So those are the dates of those courses.
You do get a grade for this. You do get an 80 student grade for the internship credits. Not everybody, it's not a guarantee that you're going to get an A. If you don't submit to me my community assignments on time, and you don't follow the deadline that I posted, your grade will be affected in community review. If in clinical, you aren't meeting your competency, you're not putting on time, there are any issues that a customer might see, you have to give them an A. That was going to be anything else. Okay, so you get your evaluation, the 1 through 5, and then you get an overall grade for the student. Now, if you finish the internship, you finish the 1200 supervised practice hours, for the most part, you probably get A's on most of them, but there is room for us to adjust if you're just not doing much.
But it's hard. You're not doing it. It's not turning in work on time, not doing the work. That's what it is. You can get 3 extra money.
No, I know it's about.
Oh, sorry.
Monique asked my question.
Okay.
Oh,
You
okay.
can, what I say, you can get 3s and still get an A in the course, and that's common.
Yes.
You get a 3 because again, that's competent, but still get an A.
So there's, yeah, the separate evaluation. You're on it, and then it's color.
Okay, so for the board exam, do we need a certain grade from our internship in order to present our board exam? No? Okay.
Internship overall pass out.
Yeah, so there's a verification statement for the internship as well, that Dr. Cuff was able to do. As long as she assigns you a verification statement, then that is what makes you eligible then to take the RD.
Okay.
Internship is pass fail. You must be competent. That's all you need to be. If you're outstanding, yay for you, but all you need is to be competent. Okay. So it is a pass fail. And with the internship, by the way, we mentioned the scale of 1 to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you get a 1 or a 2 is like a needs improvement, and a 1 is incompetent. We give you the opportunity to repeat the assignment or task until you become competent. So it is not just a one-shot deal in everything you do.
And that's different in the courses. Like if you have to do it 5 times, that's fine. Like that's not the same as an making a contract.
Exactly. So there might be, we've had students who do really well in the internship. We had one student a couple rounds ago that just could not nail PES statements. She was not very good at PES statements. That whole AZIME thing, she just wasn't very good at it. We gave her extra time. She wasn't even on the student, by the way. So that's why we're looking at that. That's why because she was learning it. What? It's turned into they're probably thinking like,
this semester, next semester,
yeah. So this was a non-UNLV student who really had a hard time with particularly PES statements and AZIME. So we had to give her an extra few weeks and some extra help, and then she was fine. So we gave her the extra help she needed, gave her the extra few weeks that she needed. She was competent, everything was fine. Does that make sense? So we're not here to fail you, but we will give you those opportunities if there's
one aspect that you're not grasping, if whatever it is, if it's supervising tray line or whatever, making a budget, whatever it is, if you need an extra chance, then we're gonna ask you to keep doing it until you get it right.
And just like your undergraduate curriculum, accreditation is such competencies for the veterans program and for the internship. So those are not within our control. What we can control is how you can obtain those competencies. The different assignments that we assign in the pre-study will have assignments for you as well. So you have the competencies that you must finish every single one. And your hospital typically might have additional projects assigned to you on top of the project. So you just have to understand that the workload is going to be there. You're going to have homework outside of your hours in the hospital. You'll have readings that you'll have to do prior to brush up on things before you go to the next day, things like that. And then it's really told about the homework.
There is, I don't know if I did or didn't, but there is homework. One of the backpedal to interview, yes, we will ask you clinical questions. We recommend before you're invited to a dietetic internship interview to know some real basic stuff about nutrition.
Especially if you take some time off, like a year or two off. I had to. I took 2 years off to do master's, so I didn't remember a lot of stuff. And so it changed in that. Right. You prepare yourself for the interview.
Exactly, and we'll give you more details, but you should know the different basics. I mean, we're not going to give details and calculations, but you should know the difference.
Drawing like politics, like.
No drawing like politics. But here's what's going to throw you then. What's the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes? And just remember, these are 1-minute answers. Name 2 nutrients that you need to control in a renal diet. You know, what is the basic difference between enteroparental nutrition? You should know the basics. That's what we mean by clinical questions, not drawing one. So don't come into an interview being prepared to draw like draw the PFPK complex and but you should but you should brush up enough to know the real basics so that you can really. Yeah, good. But you should be able to, if you can't come into an interview, you'll be able to type 1 and type 2 diabetes, no one can answer that.
What are many grams of phosphorus in the first
Things like that, like the basics you should know.
Yeah, you already know that.
Yeah. You should be able to know the basics.
How many, is the board exam available to here or however?
Yeah.
So the RD exam is anywhere, I'm going to start all in the exam. So the RD exam is anywhere from 125 to 145 multiple choice questions. They are scenario-based questions, and sometimes all 4 answers can be correct if they want the best answer. Now, there's 4 domain areas of the exam as well. And basically what it'll do is it'll start to ask you questions if you're not performing well in a certain domain area. It'll continue to ask you similar questions, and whether you get the minimum right or if you feel like you're not getting it, or move on to the next domain. You're not really going to know. Like, it's not going to show you like this is food science and this is M&T. When you complete your exam, whether you're taking 125 questions as minimum, or you go up to 145 or anywhere in between, the computer will shut off. And the black screen will pop up. And you won't know what happened. Okay? Now again, happens to me though, my computer broke. So instead of being able to walk out and get my score in 2 seconds, it took me about 20 minutes. Okay? They fixed it supposedly. So it will go black whether you pass or fail. So that is no indication at all. And it means you take this bomb survey. And, all right, here, let's get it. You don't care. Then you walk out to an attendant who has no idea what you just did. They just work at a testing facility. They're going to have a piece of paper that prints out and they hand it to you and you walk away. And if you try, say that you walk out. If you don't pass, so there's a minimum score. It's based on a percentile, not a percentage. Okay? And the way they calculate it makes no sense to me as far as how everything's weighted. You just see your score and it will either say congratulations or, you're just informed blah, blah, blah. If you happen to not pass it the first time, so it's $200 to take it the first time. If you 45 days before you can take it again, and it will cost you another $200. If you don't pass it the second time, you will have to wait 90 days, and it'll cost you another $200. There's no discount, it's like buy 2 days. So make sure that you're prepared, because it can be very expensive. There is a limit, I don't know what it is, but we have heard scenarios in the past where interns have taken it 6 times.
I don't know if it's
I think that makes times, maybe you can evaluate like, if this is difficult for you. I mean, that's, you went through all the work to do it, but you really gotta like sit there and really think about, am I prepared to do this again? Because not only reflection of you, it's a reflection of our program as well. And our mission is to produce competent entry-level dietitians. Now, what's unfortunate with the exam, it's completely separate from the internship, separate from the graduate education as well. So you're going to be provided with study tools from our program at least that you check out and learn for it, that will help you prepare for your RD. You have to get 3 to 4 weeks so that Dr. Trust can verify this that you move people to study. But make sure that you are prepared and ready to go into an exam. You have up to 48 hours to reschedule your exam if you don't feel ready to do so at that time. Okay? Now, if you don't pass it the first time, we'd love for everyone to pass in the first try. If you don't, it doesn't say anything as to who you are as a practitioner and teacher. I don't care what your score is. I've had guys who come, I got the highest score available. You can't even talk to me because I do this. Okay? So I don't care that you get the highest grade on
That's another 4
RD exam. You can have a conversation and talk to people and actually put everything that we learned into practice. Okay? I know plenty of dietitians think just about that minimum number of 1 over. The best practitioner I've ever seen. Okay? Just like the GPA and all of that, it is no indication as to who you are or who you will be as a teacher. Okay? It's very stressful. I will not lie to you. I took the sports exam this week in my CSSD. That was even more stressful. So if you're thinking about specializing, like it's only just going to get worse. But just make sure, if you don't have it, it's really not the end of the world. Just make sure you prepare. And at least you have the advantage of seeing it the first time. So then when you go back in, you might feel a little bit more confident about like maybe really similar questions to what and not a single person will get the same questions that anybody else will.
45 days in between?
45 days, first time in the
45 to 90 days.
Study time per day?
Well, that's
That is very long.
Yes.
A couple months?
Yeah, so like I said, it takes about 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, it takes about 3 or 4 weeks to verify everyone's systems, and to do with the academy and then CPR to verify that everyone's eligible to take it. In that amount of time, it's usually a sufficient amount of time for most people to like you said, you don't. But some people get jobs right after they're done with their internship. They end up Friday, they start a job and are eligible on Monday, but their study time is going to be affected obviously, so maybe you take like 30 days part-time.
How long did you take? Because you were kind of doing grad school and studying, so it depends. If you have time to full-time study, I would say 2 weeks is probably fine. If you're juggling a lot of things.
Well, I haven't really dedicated specific weeks to it, and when I actually had like a full day, like a Saturday, Sundays were my days to actually study and get up at work. What I would do, I would spend 6 hours maybe on a 8-hour Sunday, and I would do about 15-20 minutes studying, do like a set of push-ups and just food. Like push-ups were like my savior because it kind of kept me sane, and then I was just growing. So calculating push-ups.
There will be calculations on the exams. There are GPA and TPA calculations as well. They'll have some type of scratch paper for you, and then either like a dollar score calculator, or they might have like nothing fancy with the score information. I would say my suggestion with the math stuff, make sure you nail that math stuff. Those are the easy questions to get. You're going to know immediately if you're right or wrong with it or not.
And then straightforward to the following amount of stuff. Right? There are some questions that are very straightforward, and there's those situational where all the answers are right.
Yeah, sometimes you might have handled a particular scenario like based on answer A in the hospital. The exam didn't want that. They were
you have to learn.
Can't really use the internship, unfortunately, as an indicator of like how you answer that question.
You have to learn how to take their test, and that's why I use supply you with study material.
That's
like the GREs.
That's why we say that if you don't have any past, no indication of who you are because it is a very tough exam, and basically everyone studies to pass the exam after the
classroom, it'll be like in a PowerPoint setup where it has the question and I can answer on the slide. And we basically go over the questions, we talk about kind of the psychology behind the questions we do, and how to get the best answers. That's what Jenny said, it's getting the best answer for a lot of it.
Yeah, I had one of my teenagers so motivated. Don't start studying that.
Oh, they'll change it.
They're not even thinking about studying for the exam until you turn in all of your stuff on the last day.
They change it every 5 years.
Yeah, there's just, it's too much to try and learn what you're learning now, and yeah.
Yeah, you won't remember it. What's the number 16 scoop?
Yeah.
What's the number 16 scoop?
Science, make sure you keep that stuff from food science.
Number 16, is that a cup or a quarter cup? I don't know, I'm just saying, that's the kind of stuff you have to remember. I don't know, so I'm asking, don't memorize it now, because you're gonna forget it, I don't know. You're gonna forget it, don't study now, you'll forget it.
Some of the food and beverage stuff is in there too, like the purchasing stuff. You know, we look at that use and service rotation, but some of that or some of the stuff from like FAD 159, things like that. I'm trying to be smart, guys. Make sure you keep all your stuff. Anatomy, physiology.
Food science is on there too.
Trivia, what's the sweetest sugar? What's the sweetest sugar? Oh, that's the sweetest motherfucker. You gotta know stuff like that. Like there's a question where I ask you, list all of these sugars in order from the sweetest to the not sweetest. And they'll talk about that backwards. Gotta know.
And those are completely brand new questions from my 15 years.
Yeah.
I took it in 2014. This year, sorry. Yeah, so that was only a 4-year difference in the exam change for you guys. Okay, so again, by the time you guys take it, it changed, things like that. Now, I'm sure you guys heard about the pass rate like last year. For the exam, it was low, it's back up, so last year was phenomenal. That was across the country. It was a 38% pass rate across the country. We were still above the average.
We panicked, we were like 53% pass rate, we're like, oh my god, our national average is like 30, we're like, oh, this will come in.
93% to 100.
Yeah, we're used to having a really good pass rate.
So I still am convinced that there was a glitch in the algorithm and they deserve to be safe because it just made no sense to do that. We knew that was kind of failing multiple.
Yeah, it's like this
Who's
one.
across the country failing with 2, 3, 4 times? That's just not.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you guys will go first.
Because we've been
Maybe they need a new furniture.
we were heartbroken for our interns and we asked, and their answer was, oh, it's a 4 cohort. It's a big deal. No way, I believe that. But now it's back up, so it's very good. But that's awesome.
Yeah, don't worry about the exam, you have enough stress, it's just getting a better set.
Okay, so I promise, I know you guys don't have, I'm not a mean person, I swear. I'm just trying to prepare all of you for what is coming. Okay, so please don't think I'm a monster or I'm intimidating or anything like that. It is really to just make you stronger applicants, better students, better practitioners, all of that. Okay, so you guys are the bad guy. I want to be the bad guy. As soon as they're not going to be intimidated.
Yeah, we're just trying to prepare you.
So yeah, so you guys are going to get through this final year here and we'll this for you. So just communicate with us and talk to us.